Chapter 1932. Is this really the only ending? Outside the cafeteria, Zhang Liang was drinking alone. He looked back at the joyous hall and felt uncomfortable. Even though he had mixed feelings, it was difficult to hide the bitterness in his heart. For a long time, Zhang Liang had been trying to pull the Confucians into the anti-Qin alliance. He had been working hard for this, but, as the saying goes, the ideal is too beautiful, but the reality is too harsh. Zhang Liang had encountered such a huge blow, since he brought Dustless into the Confucians and led the wolf into the house. The good situation was gone forever. Zhang Liang had been living in the shadow that Dustless painstakingly weaved. Not only that, but he also lost his identity as the third master of the Confucians and was replaced by Dustless. Mr. Zhang Liang. At this moment, a pleasant voice suddenly sounded. Zhang Liang was slightly stunned and turned his head to look. I didn't expect. I wonder why Concubine Yin is looking for me? The person who interrupted Zhang Liang was Concubine Yin from the Yin School. Zichen said that he has something important to discuss with you. Please come with me. Pointing to the corridor ahead, Concubine Yin made an inviting gesture. What's the matter? Hearing this, Zhang Liang was surprised. He didn't expect Dustless to take the initiative to look for him, especially sending Concubine Yin to pass the message. Zhang Liang felt that something was wrong. You didn't take the bait. Seeing Zhang Liang, who was nervous and slightly alert, Concubine Yin frowned. Then she remembered Dustless's plan and whispered, Zichen said that he is willing to help you recover Korea? What? Zhang Liang's first thought was that his brain was not enough. That ambitious and terrifying man suddenly changed his mind and suddenly helped him recover his country? This is the truth. Seeing Zhang Liang's shocked expression, Concubine Yin tried to persuade him. To tell you the truth, Zichen has been uncomfortable with the Qin kingdom for a long time. He just didn't show it. Uncomfortable with the Qin kingdom. It was fine if she didn't say it. After this sentence, Zhang Liang was even more suspicious, because whether it was the Yin School or young Master Fu Su, on the surface, they seemed to care about Dustless, and young Master Fu Su was the son of the Qin kingdom's emperor. What reason did Dustless have to be uncomfortable with the Qin kingdom? Zhang Liang didn't understand. It's Li Si from the Prime Minister Kingdom. He's been looking for an opportunity to take revenge on Zichen. I'm sure you've seen the competition before, right? Moon Goddess followed Dustless's instructions and explained everything in detail. That's true. Hearing this, Zhang Liang only nodded and reluctantly accepted Dustless's explanation. The relationship between Li Si and Dustless was very bad, even to the point that they were at loggerheads. Furthermore, Li Si was the Prime Minister of Qin State, an important minister of Qin Shi Huang. It was not easy to take revenge on him. Therefore, it was understandable that Dustless hated Qin State. All right, I'll go see Zichen. After some hesitation, Zhang Liang finally agreed and followed Concubine Yin to see Dustless. Idiot, when you come back later, it will be your time of misfortune. Seeing Zhang Liang leaving with Concubine Yin, Great Si Ming, who had been hiding in the dark, came out from the dark space and changed his appearance. He looked exactly like Zhang Liang. Since Dustless said that he was going to do his best to frame Zhang Liang, Great Si Ming had studied Zhang Liang's habits and imitated him in all aspects. First, it was his basic appearance and swordsmanship. Cough, cough, cough. After sorting out his thoughts, Great Si Ming, who was disguised as Zhang Liang, stepped into the cafeteria and walked straight to Fun Yin's seat. Yo, Zifeng, you're finally here. Quick, take a seat. In the dull room, Dustless looked at Zhang Liang, who was brought by Concubine Yin. He pointed to the chair beside him and gestured for him to sit down. He even had a friendly smile on his face, but it was extremely terrifying in Zhang Liang's eyes. The Grim Reaper was smiling at you. What a terrifying thing. Speaking of which, didn't you and young Si Ming consummate their marriage? Zhang Liang, who felt that something was wrong, suddenly asked. At the same time, he looked at Dustless in disbelief. Who is this guy? Why is Yue acting like this? Zhang Liang looked at Yue, who was beside Dustless, cautiously. This guy was like a guardian angel, standing still. Obviously, he was here to protect Dustless. Although it was unnecessary, he didn't need any protection. But Dustless was just an ordinary Confucian disciple. How could he let Yueshan be his bodyguard? This was too strange. He couldn't explain it at all. By the way, are you sure you want to help me recover Korea? Zhang Liang was too lazy to talk nonsense. He said emotionally, I'll be very grateful in the future. This is just a small problem. I have something to ask you now. Looking at Zhang Liang, Dustless suddenly asked with anticipation, Zifeng, if Korea really recovers one day, who do you think is suitable to be the new king? Of course it's me, Zhang Liang. Without thinking, Zhang Liang said his name. Then, afraid that Dustless would misunderstand, he quickly explained, it can't be helped. All the royal descendants of Korea are dead now. Although Quicksand Qilian was the princess of Korea, that was a long time ago. I'm afraid no one knows her now. Plus, Qilian is a woman, so she's not suitable to be the king. After sorting out his thoughts, Dustless continued, although Wei Zhuang is also a Korean noble, his identity is not suitable. If the people of Korea knew that their king was once an assassin, they would definitely resist. So you're more suitable to be the new king? Dustless asked calmly. That's right. Zhang Liang nodded seriously and said, of course, I'm only the temporary king. If there's a suitable candidate one day, I'll follow the example of the sages and abdicate. That sounds better than a song. If you don't abdicate when the time comes, no one could do anything. It's all nonsense. I didn't expect this kid to be so talented at lying. Dustless sneered in his heart. He couldn't be bothered to argue with Zhang Liang. He just needed to stall for time. Chapter 1933. On the other side, Great Si Ming, who was disguised as Zhang Liang, had already made contact with Fun Yin. Senior brother. Great Si Ming imitated Zhang Liang and said respectfully with both hands, please excuse me for a moment. I have something important to discuss with you. Something important? Hearing this, Fun Yin touched his chin and looked at Zhang Liang strangely. He couldn't figure out what Zhang Liang was talking about. All right. However, due to his trust in Zhang Liang, Fun Yin didn't feel that there was anything wrong. Usually, everyone was like his own brother. Even though there was a lot of estrangement between them because of the marriage, the essence of being a disciple of Confucianism didn't change. Moreover, Zhang Liang was Fun Yin's junior brother. Huff, huff, huff. Outside the elusive mirage, the wind whistled and danced wildly. The chilly wind made people uncomfortable and covered their hearts with a layer of dark clouds. Zifeng, what's the secret? About 20 to 30 meters away from the cafeteria, Fun Yin said in a deep voice, the two of us are sneaking around. It's inevitable that we will be suspected by others. If you have something to say it quickly. Hee. Zhang Liang laughed, but it was a completely different smile from the one he used to have. There was an unprecedented coldness in his smile. You, Zifeng, were you feeling unwell? Fun Yin frowned slightly. His impression of Zhang Liang was that he was gentle like jade and was an out-and-out modest gentleman. He wasn't as scary as he was now. Senior brother, I am indeed feeling unwell, and I need a good medicine to cure my illness. In this world, you are the only one who can take out this medicine. Are you willing to save me? Zhang Liang asked without batting an eyelid. The fake Ling Su that was hidden under his long sleeves had already been drawn out. What do you mean? Is there such a strange disease in the world? Fun Yin was at a loss. He then gritted his teeth and said, we are senior brother. What disease do you have? Just say it. Then, hearing this, Zhang Liang's eyes suddenly narrowed. The chilling light in his eyes turned into a substantial, murderous aura. The long sword hidden under his sleeve also shot out. Not good. Seeing this, Fun Yin's pupils suddenly shrank. He quickly retreated, but it was too late. Puchi, a bloody hole instantly appeared in Fun Yin's abdomen. The ice-cold long sword was rapidly devouring his vitality. Fun Yin's face instantly turned pale and powerless. If you're not Zifeng, then who are you? Fun Yin clenched his teeth, and his eyes were bloodshot. Just now, He found it strange that Zhang Liang's murderous eyes and cold temperament that treated human life like grass were definitely not something that Zhang Liang could possess. Is that important? Zhang Liang looked at Great Ming coldly. His tone was exactly the same as Zhang Liang's, but now it was Great Ming. It's you. Yin's face suddenly changed, and he asked angrily in a low voice. Enyang School and Confucian School should have turned hostility into friendship. Why do you still want to attack me? Didn't Zichen have a marriage alliance with your Enyang School? We're all on the same side. Ha, Zichen. One of their own? Your ignorance is laughable. After killing Yin and completing the task given by Dustless, Great Ming felt exceptionally relaxed. He sneered and said, "Since you are about to die, I might as well tell you that the so-called Zichen is Dustless, and the person who gave the order to kill you is him. You're talking nonsense." Hearing this, the corner of Yin's mouth twitched, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Zichen was brought into Confucian School by Zifang. How could he lead a wolf into the house? It's even more impossible for him to collude with the rebels. But this is the truth. You know that Zhang Liang is only using the power of Confucian School to recover Korea. Why are you still deceiving yourself? Great Ming, who was disguised as Zhang Liang, continued to attack Yin. You know better than anyone what kind of person Zhang Liang is. Hearing this, Yin smiled bitterly. Just like what Great Ming said, he didn't know what kind of person Zhang Liang was. Confucian School's position in his heart was far inferior to Korea. Therefore, Zhang Liang secretly colluded with the rebels and let a wolf into the house. He has no reason to kill me. Everything I did was for his own good. Yin clenched his fist, puzzled. He didn't feel that he had done anything wrong to Dustless, and even handed over the position of Confucian School to him. Stupid. Great Ming looked at Yin with disdain and sneered. You used Dustless, and you still dare to say that it's for his own good? You just used him as a tool for the marriage with the Enyang School. Have you ever understood how others feel? By the way, Yin Lu, who went missing in Confucian School these few days, was also killed by that guy. Great Ming's words were shocking. His words instantly aroused Yin's hatred. He gritted his teeth and looked at Zhang Liang with hostility. He couldn't wait to swallow Zhang Liang alive. If he didn't lead a wolf into the house, how could Confucian School fall to such a state? Even if I die, I'll drag you down with me. Yin's eyes flickered with hatred. He suddenly opened his mouth and shouted, "Everyone, there's an assassin!" Yin used his inner force to transmit this loud roar into everyone's ears. The guests who were eating in the cafeteria heard it clearly. "You're going to be finished this time." Yin smiled gloomily. However, Great Ming, who was disguised as Zhang Liang, stabbed him with his sword without any expression. With his heart destroyed, Yin's life was completely drained in an instant. He fell to the ground with blood all over his body. "Idiot, I can't wait for you to scream like that." Great Ming, who was disguised as Zhang Liang, was extremely calm. He turned his head and looked at the guests who had already appeared. Fu Su and the others were all there. They were all dumbfounded when they saw Yin lying in a pool of blood. Swish, swish, swish. Seeing that everyone was in a daze, Great Ming, who was disguised as Zhang Liang, used the movement skill that Zhang Liang had once used. He retreated gracefully. Yin is dead. The one who killed him is his junior brother, Zhang Liang. Chapter 1934. Almost everyone thought that the person who was retreating was Zhang Liang. His aura, movement, and moves were exactly the same, so no one doubted it. The only thing that puzzled everyone was why Zhang Liang wanted to assassinate Yin. After all, they were brothers. What kind of grudge did they have against each other that they had to fight to the death? Looks like Great Ming's plan has been completed. On top of a tall building, there were no obstructions in the surroundings, and the view was excellent. The actions of Fu Su and the others were all seen by the moon goddess. Cough, cough, cough. At this moment, the moon god coughed twice with a strange look in her eyes. It's done so quickly? It went smoother than I expected. Seeing this, Wu Qin chuckled. He had only fooled Zhang Liang for a few minutes, and this guy had already been smashed by a sugar-coated bullet to the point where he couldn't find his bearings. All right, that's it. Dustless looked at Zhang Liang and said coldly, "You little brat, you can get lost now." Huh. Zhang Liang's face fell. Dustless wasn't like this just now. He was talking about the future territory of Korea with him. Why did he suddenly change his attitude? What do you mean? Zhang Liang looked at Wu Chan in confusion. His eyes were filled with anger. Wu Chan suddenly turned hostile and refused to acknowledge him. Zhang Liang had a feeling that he had been fooled. "I asked you to get lost. Don't you understand human language? The elusive mirage is my territory." Dustless looked at the moon god and waved his hand impatiently. "Moon god, please send him off." Zhang Liang looked at Dustless angrily and asked in a deep voice, "You said you would help me restore Korea? You don't want to admit it now?" Treachery is not something a Confucian disciple would do. Confucius said, *T, Confucius said. He interrupted Zhang Liang rudely. Looking at the angry look on this guy's face, he was probably going to talk about the teachings of the sage again. What blockhead! The sage and the Confucius said could solve all problems. The Confucians had already used their mouth to conquer the world. There wouldn't have been the spring and autumn warring states period that lasted for hundreds of years. You heard the leader's words. "Please, Mr. Zhang Liang, please don't make things difficult for me." Moon God expressionlessly stood in front of Zhang Liang. Although she spoke politely, her heart was full of disdain. Everyone knew that the Confucian school was pedantic. It's a small world. There's still a long way to go. Just wait and see. After taking a few deep breaths of the icy cold air, Zhang Liang angrily flicked his sleeve and left. The instant he turned around, Zhang Liang's face flushed red. His entire body was filled with a chill that penetrated his heart. It was deathly silent and filled with despair. "Sect Master?" The moon goddess addressed Dustless as Cult Master. How is this possible? Could this guy be the leader of the school of Yin-Yang? Zhang Liang's brain cells spun rapidly, thinking about the true identity of Dustless. From the corner of his eye, he secretly glanced at Dustless's movements. Seeing his evil smile, Zhang Liang cursed inwardly and subconsciously quickened his pace. He seemed to have fallen into the big pit designed by Dustless again. Damn it, I was naive enough to believe Dustless's nonsense. Zhang Liang cursed inwardly and hurriedly walked to the place where they had gathered for dinner. After a while, he passed through the corridors and saw a large number of people gathered in the distance. His heart became more and more uneasy. "Get out of the way." Zhang Liang hurriedly crowded into the crowd. When he saw Fu Nian lying in the blood wave, his whole person instantly became sluggish and motionless. Zhang Liang would never forget Fu Nian's unreconciled eyes. Which bastard killed eldest senior brother? The furious roar spread to the sky. Zhang Liang's temperament changed greatly. His elegant temperament was like being possessed by a demon, and his whole body was overflowing with an ominous, murderous aura. "How dare you, Zhang Liang?" Seeing this, Li Si was so angry that he laughed and angrily rebuked. "We all saw you kill Fu Nian with our own eyes. How dare you talk about others? Do you think we are all blind? This is outrageous. No matter how arrogant you are, you can't be like this. Zhao Gao, take Zhang Liang down for me." Nonsense. After being stunned for a moment, Zhang Liang immediately refuted loudly. "I have no enmity with eldest senior brother. Why would I kill him? Li Si, don't think that just because you're the prime minister, everyone's eyes are clear." Zhang Liang's words were pleasant to hear, but as soon as he finished speaking, he was collectively slapped in the face. Have the Confucians already reached such a level of shamelessness? Xiao Meng looked at Zhang Liang and said disdainfully, "I saw you kill Fu Nian with my own eyes. Now you want to deny it? Zhang Liang, give me an explanation." Fu Su also looked at Zhang Liang unkindly. What is this situation?" Seeing this, Zhang Liang was instantly petrified. He felt like crying, but had no tears. After talking nonsense with Dustless for so long, he came back and became the murderer? How lively. At this moment, Dustless's voice also sounded, full of ridicule and schadenfreude. "Zichen, explain to them clearly." I didn't kill eldest senior brother Fun Yin. I was chatting with you just now. Zhang Liang hurriedly looked at Dustless for help, waiting for his rescue. Huh. Dustless's face was blank and naive. He immediately said seriously, "Don't talk nonsense. I was having a wedding night with young Master Ming, who was chatting with you." Hearing this, Zhang Liang suddenly spat out a mouthful of old blood. He was so angry at Dustless's words that he suffered internal injuries. Do you have to be so shameless? Even if you talk nonsense, you can't be so unscrupulous. You'll get someone killed. Zichen, you despicable and filthy villain. How dare you plot to frame me? Zhang Liang's mouth was full of blood. His expression was like that of a ghost as he locked onto Dustless. His bones were creaking from anger. At this point, Zhang Liang finally understood why this guy was stalling for time. At the same time, he also understood that the culprit of Fun Yin's death was Dustless. However, what made Zhang Liang furious was that he had no evidence. Moreover, he was currently like a clay bodhisattva crossing a river, unable to protect himself. Chapter 1935. Zhang Liang was enraged and wished for nothing more than to dismember Dustless into 1,000 pieces in his heart. This fellow clearly knew that he was innocent, yet deliberately deceived him. His intentions were hateful. Zichen, you are deliberately framing me. Since they had already shed all pretense of cordiality, Zhang Liang no longer cared about his image. He was so furious that his hair stood on end as he roared sternly. Previously, you secretly invited me over to discuss the revival of the empire. In short, you invited me over. Zhang Liang did not have the courage to mention the revival of Korea. After all, Li Si, Fu Su, and Zhao Gao were still present. Wouldn't he be courting death if he said it? Why would I invite you? Please don't talk nonsense. Zifang, I was with young Master Ming the whole time. Dustless looked at young Master Ming, whose face was covered by a veil, and asked with a smile, "Am I right, young Master Ming?" Yes, although young Master Ming's tone was very light, everyone heard it clearly. "You bastard, I will kill you." Hearing this, Zhang Liang, who could not bear it anymore, no longer spoke nonsense. He pulled out his sword from its scabbard and pointed the cold sword light at Dustless's eyes. Zhang Liang's face was filled with madness. Everyone had a bottom line in their heart. Once their reverse scale was touched, everyone would be like Zhang Liang, who couldn't control himself. "Young Master Fu Su, this bastard Zhang Liang wants to kill you. He is so vicious that he won't even let his own senior brother go. I am useless for the Confucian school to have such a bastard." Dustless moved to Fu Su's side with a face full of shame and shame. "You bastard." Ugh, Zhang Liang, who couldn't bear the blow, spat out another mouthful of blood. He was so angry with Wu Chun that his head was stuffy. This bastard was obviously talking about himself. The person who killed Fun Yin was obviously Wu Chun. But sadly, even though Zhang Liang's heart was as clear as a mirror, no one believed what he said. "All right." Zhang Liang suddenly looked at the cold concubine Yin and said angrily, "This woman invited me. She said that Zichen was looking for me, so I went over." As soon as he said that, everyone looked at concubine Yin expectantly. However, concubine Yin's answer made Zhang Liang collapse. "Who are you?" Concubine Yin stared at Zhang Liang as if she didn't know him. "You bunch of despicable and shameless people." Seeing this, Zhang Liang's face instantly turned as pale as snow. There were no witnesses and no evidence. On the contrary, Wu Chen's side had all the advantages. There were witnesses and evidence. Zhang Liang knew that he would definitely be the scapegoat today. I also misjudged him. Fu Su nodded in agreement and looked at Zhang Liang with disdain. "How do you get to know such a beast dressed in human clothing? If you want to fight with me, I'll kill you." Seeing the gloomy Zhang Liang, Dustless felt extremely pleased. Then, under the astonished gazes of the crowd, he sternly shouted, "Zhang Liang, Zhang Zifang, you traitor of the scholarly faction. Today, as the third master of the scholarly faction, I will expel you from the scholarly faction. I will temporarily take over as the head of the scholarly faction. Who do you think you are?" Hearing this, Zhang Liang immediately retorted. It was not Dustless's turn to have the final say in this matter. Eldest senior brother Fu Nian has been killed by you. Second senior brother Yin Lu's whereabouts are unknown. Uncle Master Sun has been plotted against by a traitor. I have to be responsible for the entire scholarly faction. Dustless said matter-of-factly. Sun Zi had been assassinated by Zhao Gao and the others. As for Fu Nian and Yin Lu, they were both dead. Wouldn't they be counting on him, the third master? All of this is your scheme. Zhang Liang roared loudly. His tone was sharp and ear-piercing. Although Zhang Liang didn't know where Yin Lu had gone, he was sure that it had something to do with Dustless. At that time, Yin Lu had disappeared after coming to the Mirage. From the conversation with Yue Shen, Zhang Liang learned that Dustless was Dongwang Tai. The entire Yinyang school was under Dustless's control. If all of this wasn't a scheme, who else could it be? Men, take down Zhang Liang. Fu Su looked at Zhang Liang expressionlessly. Then he glanced at the 6 sword slaves behind Zhao Gao. This won't do. If Zhang Liang is captured by Zhao Gao and Li Si will inevitably find out the details of my scheme from Zhang Liang. I can't let Zhang Liang be captured alive. Dustless's eyes were rolling. As the saying went, there was no wall in the world that didn't have a crack. If Zhang Liang, the main culprit of this scheme, died, no one would know the truth behind it. However, if he was caught by Zhao Gao's trap, he would inevitably get some unnecessary information. Cough, cough, cough. After coughing lightly, Dustless looked at concubine Yin and Yue Shen. Seeing this, the two of them looked at each other and immediately understood Dustless's intention. Before the 6 sword slaves could make a move, they attacked Zhang Liang at the same time. How dare you kill someone in our Yinyang school's territory? You have guts. Outsiders, please don't interfere. Yue Shen's words contained a warning, which made Zhao Gao and Li Si frown. Young master. Li Si and Zhao Gao had no choice but to look at Fu Su. Fu Su just shook his head gently, indicating that they didn't need to meddle in other people's business. Just leave it to the Yinyang school. Damn it, I don't have any chance of winning. Zhang Liang was unwilling to give up. Seeing Yue Shen and concubine Yin closing in, the pressure on him increased exponentially. Even if he couldn't win against one of them, 2 against 1, wasn't it suicide? Therefore, under the shocked gazes of the crowd, Zhang Liang made a shocking decision. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. With the fastest speed in his life, Zhang Liang pounced to the side of the boat. Then he decisively jumped into the sea. Chapter 1936. Jumping into the sea. This sudden scene caused everyone to be stunned. They didn't expect Zhang Liang to be so carefree and actually jump into the sea. This unyielding spirit that would rather die was truly admirable. Damn it! Concubine Yin and Yue Shen looked at each other helplessly. No one expected Zhang Liang to jump into the sea. They looked at Dustless apologetically. That's good. Seeing this, Dustless didn't feel much. No matter what, Zhang Liang can do anything as long as he doesn't get caught by Zhao Gao. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At the same time, a sharp piercing sound came from a void. Even Wu Chun could not help but frown at the ear-piercing roar. What's that? Everyone stared at the falling flash of light in shock. Li Si and the others were terrified. Is that a meteor? Compared to the panicked Li Si and the others, Dustless was much calmer. To put it bluntly, it was a very ordinary celestial phenomenon. But in the eyes of Fu Su and the others, it was different. Boom, boom, boom. In the end, the meteorite unavoidably landed near Shanghai. Even from several thousand feet away, or even further away, one could still feel the violent tremors. Even the mirage, which was far away from the land, could feel the slight vibration. Huge ripples were visible to the naked eye on the surface of the water. It seems that this meteorite is not small. It caused such a big commotion. Ordinary people couldn't see it clearly, but for Dustless, who has the Tensigan, the situation in the distance was clear at a glance. Grandmaster Zicheng, a natural disaster is coming. Goodbye. Fu Su's face was pale white. Such an unprecedented calamity might shake the foundations of the empire. Some people with ulterior motives might even use this rare chance to fan the flames. Go do your work. Hearing this, Dustless nodded and looked at Yueshin, signaling her to dock the Mirage as soon as possible. Time passed quickly and left quickly. About an hour later, all the guests left quietly. Everyone had different expressions on their faces, but the final winner was undoubtedly Dustless. What a great harvest today! Dustless sighed emotionally. He touched the body of Snow G and smiled strangely. Find a blacksmith and carve a few words on Snow G for Xiaoming. Engraving words? The moon god, concubine Yin, great Si Ming, and young Si Ming were all speechless. Snow was ranked 6th in the sword scroll, which was enough to prove how extraordinary it was. Wouldn't carving the words on it ruin this peerless sword? What words? The moon goddess and the others couldn't help but ask curiously. Let me think. Dustless lowered his head and rubbed his chin. After thinking for a while, he said, Xiao Ming of the Death Heaven sect. Pucci. Hearing this, even the moon goddess, who was always calm and collected, could not help but chuckle. If Dustless really did that, Xiao Ming would probably fly into a rage out of humiliation and kill her way to his door. How should we deal with Zhang Liang? Great Si Ming asked. Don't be fooled by his angry look. Zhang Liang is actually a meticulous person. He might have done that on purpose just now. He might be enjoying himself somewhere right now. Don't worry about that brat. Zhang Liang has been expelled from the Confucian school by me. His reputation is ruined. What can he do? Dustless acted casually. Then he said lazily, Actually, I think it's more interesting this way. If Zhang Liang dies, wouldn't it be a waste of his talent? What a man with a bad taste. The moon goddess saw Dustless's expression and said doubtfully, I've been observing the stars for the past few days. The meteor just now doesn't seem to be as simple as it seems. Really? What do you think is different? A glint of surprise flashed in Dustless's eyes. He looked at the moon goddess with anticipation. This is a sign of evil. Concubine, Yin looked serious and then said helplessly, The moon goddess and I are not as good at astrology as Dongwang Tai. If it's him, he will definitely know what's going on. The meteor just now was indeed different. There were words written on it. Dustless said shockingly, Qin is dead, and who is dead? This is what was written on the meteor. Do you think the moon goddess and I are 3-year-old kids? Concubine Yin looked at Dustless with a strange expression. If you don't believe me, you can go and ask around. Wu Qin shrugged his shoulders. He remembered this matter clearly, and there was absolutely no mistake. Qin is dead, and who is dead? The moon goddess lowered her head and guessed. Then she said doubtfully, You mean the barbarians in the north? They are indeed brave and good at fighting. They are the biggest threat to the Qin kingdom. No. Dustless shook his finger and immediately denied the moon goddess's point of view. He said, Other than Fu Su, Yingzheng also has a talented and smart son. His name is Hu Hai. Li Si and Zhao Gao worked hard to destroy Fu Su. They wanted to help Hu Hai take the throne. Dustless muttered to himself, but in the end, they did succeed. They were really good at colluding with each other. They killed Fu Su. How do you know this? Imperial concubine Yin and Moon God opened their eyes wide. Fu Su was still alive and kicking. Do I need to tell you? Of course, I know astrology too. I learned it from it. Even Dongwang Tai is not as good as me. I can guarantee the accuracy. Dustless found a random excuse. Although it was just nonsense, it was the truth. In history, Fu Su was killed by Zhao Gao and Li Si. Chapter 1937. Near the coast of Sangsi, boom, boom, boom. On the calm surface of the water, waves that were several meters high suddenly rose. Then, strange-looking mechanical monsters came out of the water, and there were several human figures among them. Everyone, what do you plan to do? Zhang Liang stared at the figures in front of him. They were Old Man Ban, Dao Ji, Wei Zhuang, Gania, and the others of the school of Amo. I didn't expect Dustless to be the leader of the school of Yinyang. Old Man Ban sighed. His staunch ally had suddenly become an unprecedented enemy. Not only was Old Man Ban caught off guard, but the school of Amo also found it difficult to accept. When he had first stepped into the Mirage, Zhang Liang had secretly ordered the school of Mo to assist him. It had to be said that his foresight had saved his life. That guy is a great enemy of quicksand. I was the first to agree to deal with him. Wei Zhuang's face was cold. Because of Dustless, quicksand had suffered heavy losses. Now, only Qi Lian, Bai Feng, and the Black Qilin were left. The other members had all been slaughtered, and the instigator was Dustless. But how do we take revenge on Dustless? He's the leader of the school of Enyang, and now he controls the Confucian school. We have no place to start. That guy's like a hedgehog with thorns all over his body. Dao Ji said with a headache. He couldn't think of any loopholes in Dustless' plan. Leave this to me. Zhang Liang's face flashed with hatred. He hated Dustless to the bone. This guy had framed him for no reason, causing him to lose his reputation and become a stray dog. How could Zhang Liang hold a grudge against him? Everyone, don't forget that he's still using the identity of Zi Chun. We can spread his true identity as Dustless. When that time comes, that guy will have to bear the consequences. Even the school of Enyang will be unlucky. Zhang Liang smiled sinisterly, a rare joy on his face. His bright eyes seemed to have already seen Dustless's unlucky appearance. Prime Minister, are you sure you want to do this? Zhao Gao looked at Li Si in a daze. He didn't expect that this Prime Minister, who seemed to be hiding his strength, would be no less than a fugitive when he went crazy. According to the development of the original work, Zhao Gao and Li Si were still in cahoots. However, with the sudden addition of Dustless as an enemy, the two of them coincidentally joined forces, sending an assassin to pretend to kill Dustless and frame the school of Enyang. Although it can drive a wedge between Fu Su and Dustless, it's more troublesome than I thought. Zhao Gao was slightly worried. Although Li Si had boarded his pirate ship, Zhao Gao was hesitant to take such a risk. If he failed, the blow would be fatal. He even dared to assassinate Fu Su. Once the truth was exposed, his entire family would be executed. Don't worry. Li Si calmly waved his hand and said calmly, the original intention of assassinating Fu Su was to frame the Enyang school, not to truly kill him. Also, how is the preparation of that thing going? That thing? Zhao Gao frowned and then took out a crudely made token and asked, Prime Minister, are you talking about the farmer party's Shinnong token? That's right. Li Si nodded and took the Shinnong token from Zhao Gao's hand. He then laughed sinisterly. If on this Shinnong token, there's the words the one who kills Zichen is the next hero of the farmer party, what do you think that kid will do? Both sides had a grudge for a long time, and Li Si didn't have any hopes of turning hostility into friendship. This is a great plan. Without even thinking, Li Si nodded and said coldly, this way, Zichen will face endless pursuit. We can also use this chance to destroy the farmer party. In Mulberry Sea City, the wall that was usually filled with wanted posters was now filled with people. Look, isn't that the third head of the Confucian school, Mr. Zhang Liang? Who said he isn't? Why is he wanted? And such a frightening bounty, 200,000 gold taels. What evil thing did he do? Who knows? Look, Zhang Liang's crimes are written at the bottom of the wanted poster. This damn scum actually killed his senior brother Fun Yan. He doesn't deserve to be a human. The passers-by were all dumbfounded as they stared at the shocking bounty. Without exception, all of them revealed shocked expressions. They had never heard of such a sky-high bounty. Subsequently, when they saw Zhang Liang's crime, all of them were filled with righteous indignation and cursed Zhang Liang for being cold-hearted. How sad. Dustless, who happened to pass by, glanced at the bounty and suddenly sneered. Life is like a dream, a dream. Concubine Yin, who followed Dustless, also sighed. A while ago, Zhang Liang was still the third head of the Confucian school. He had offended Dustless and was condemned by everyone as a villain. This is not a dream, but the result of overestimating himself. Dustless glanced at Concubine Yin and then slowly walked to the little sage manor. From now on, he was the only master there. At this moment, Concubine Yan's eyebrows suddenly blinked. She turned her head and looked at the crowd behind her. She asked, Was it my illusion just now? I always felt that there were a few hidden eyes watching our movements. It's not an illusion. Dustless responded flatly, and then said with great dissatisfaction, "It's just that some idiots who overestimate themselves are following us. This is the street, so it's not good to do it. Let's find a place where there are fewer people to kill. It's really bad luck. It's rare to come out when I'm in a good mood. There are always some self-righteous stalkers." "I see." Concubine Yin nodded slightly and immediately sensed carefully. She found that the spying eyes had drifted away. But the mysterious person who is following us is a good master. His concealment skills are very good. That's not important. The people he is following are actually more terrible, Dustless answered coldly. Chapter 1938. Two figures were walking slowly in the back mountain of the Sage Manor. The environment is not bad. The scenery is beautiful. The footsteps suddenly stopped. Wu Chen admired the emerald shrubs around him with a faint smile on his face. The picturesque scenery made people indulge in it. The air was permeated with the fragrance of nature. A slight sniff would make people feel refreshed. Such a beautiful scenery is suitable for a graveyard. At this moment, a cold and low shout that was filled with killing intent suddenly resounded in Wu Chen's ears. Immediately, a few burly men leaped out from the forest. "You are," seeing the mysterious people staring at him fiercely, Dustless asked, "Guys, we don't seem to have any grudges. Why are you attacking me?" Before fighting, it was necessary to know what they were here for. "Since you are about to die, I will tell you the reason." The burly man, who was obviously the leader, stepped forward and said sternly, "We are the Lime Mountain Hall of the Farmers' Clan. I am Tian Meng, the Hall Master of the Lime Mountain Hall." "The Farmers' Clan?" Dustless frowned and said, "I don't have any grudges with you. Did the Farmers' Clan get the wrong person?" Dustless had always been the one to find others to be his scapegoat. There was no way he would be the scapegoat for someone else. Also, this Tian Meng seems familiar. As Wu Chen's thoughts turned back, a tragic figure quickly appeared in his mind. That person died quite miserably. Tian Meng, the Hall Master of the Lime Mountain Hall of the Farmers' Clan. In the original work, he was assassinated by Zhao Gao's Luo. Zhao Gao blamed his death on Gunye and Wei Zhuang. However, although Tian Meng was dead, he had a good daughter named Tian Yin. She was soft on the outside but tough on the inside. She was known as the Farmers' Clan #1 think tank. After Tian Meng was killed and the competition for the title of Farmers' Clan #1 hero began, she became the target of all the clan halls. Later, she formed an alliance with Chiyu Hall and Gonggong Hall and became the Hall Master of the Lime Mountain Hall. "We don't have any grudges with each other, but..." Tian Meng looked at Dustless ferociously and said in a cold voice, "Recently, the Shinong Order has reappeared in Jianghu, and there is a paragraph of words. The one who kills Zi Chun of the Confucian School will be the next hero of the School of Agriculture." "I see." Dustless suddenly understood and muttered softly, "In order to deal with me, Zhao Gao and Li Si really put in a lot of effort. They even used something like the Shinong Order." In the original work, Zhao Gao used the Shinong Order to reappear in Jianghu. His intention was to let the farmers kill each other and weaken their strength. But who would have thought that the spearhead would change at this moment to kill Dustless? "Any last words?" Tian Meng's eyes lit up as he looked at Dustless. He said excitedly with victory in his hands, "If you don't have it, then let me kill you. I am determined to become the next hero of the Farmers Guild. Dying in such a beautiful place is not a loss for you, kid." Swish! Swish! As soon as Tian Meng's voice fell, his body flashed over. There are so many people who overestimate themselves. Dustless crossed his hands in his wide sleeves. It seemed that he did not intend to do it himself. "Go to hell." Seeing that Dustless was not moving, Tian Meng immediately swooped down with his long sword. Buzz! However, at this moment, Concubine Yin made her move. A burst of bright light burst out from her body. The dazzling light burst out powerfully. Caw! 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 A loud and clear cry resounded through the sky. A lifelike three-legged golden crow appeared in an instant. Its wings flapped, and it swooped down toward Tianming. What the hell is this? Tianming was shocked. He instinctively stabbed the sharp sword in his hand. Crack! Unexpectedly, the three-legged golden crow's ability was quite extraordinary. It gently opened its mouth and easily crushed the long sword in Tianming's hand. It was extremely powerful. Caw! 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 The three-legged golden crow screamed again. A violent shock wave burst out from its body. It swooped straight toward Tianming, who was in a daze. It looked arrogant, and its sharp cry was full of confidence. How dare a beast be so arrogant? How dare you? Tianming, who had come back to his senses, was furious. He did not expect to be looked down upon by a beast. He was instantly furious. A burst of powerful inner force burst out from his body. How boring! Dustless glanced at Tianming in boredom. He simply turned around and left. Although Tianming's strength was not bad and was not weaker than the black warrior Shang-Chi, Dustless was not interested in him at all. Concubine Yin would just play with him. As for Dustless himself, he walked lazily toward the little sage manor. It's really strange. There are usually people guarding the back door. Why is there no one at all now? After easily invading the interior of the little sage manor, Dustless raised his head to look for people. Although the back door was not the main door, there were usually many people guarding it. But at this moment, there was no one at all. This guy's whereabouts are suspicious. He must be up to no good for the Confucian school. That's right. Maybe he's a spy from another sect. Catch him quickly. We can't let him run away. Hand him over to Grandmaster Duquesne for interrogation. Under the thick and dense willow tree, a group of Confucian disciples surrounded a figure. They looked at him like hungry wolves. From time to time, they would show expressions of hatred. Recently, the Confucian school had been quite unlucky. First, the little sage manor was burned down. Then, Fu Nian was killed. Yin Lu went missing. Zhang Liang was also expelled from the Confucian school. Even Sun Zi was killed. Now, only Dustless was left in the little sage manor. He had the most authority. You stinking brats, hurry up and go back to study. Do you want to be beaten? Dustless warned sternly. The group of Confucian disciples was immediately terrified. They were like frightened migratory birds. They fled in panic and disappeared without a trace in an instant. Really? Seeing this, Dustless snorted softly. Then, he looked at the figure surrounded and was suddenly stunned. It's you? Aren't you recuperating in the Mahist stronghold? Why did you suddenly come to the Confucian school? The weak girl who was surrounded was Shirlan. However, her condition was not right. There was black gas rolling between her eyebrows, and her breath was very weak. Chapter 1939. In a daze, Shirlan seemed to have heard Dustless's shout and open her eyes. After confirming that Shirlan was fine, Dustless heaved a sigh of relief. Looking at the haggard Shirlan, he gently laid her down and leaned her against the thick willow tree. Only then did Dustless calmly ask, "How do you feel? Why do you look so pale?" "Those people from the MO family wanted to harm you. I quickly rushed over to inform you, but..." At this point, Shirlan's tone faintly sighed and was filled with disappointment. "But they had many experts. If not for Miss Rong helping me escape, I might have been captured." Hearing this, Dustless did not speak. Then he asked in confusion, "According to my understanding of the MO family, they should not have made things difficult for you, even if they knew my true identity." The true master of the Yin-Yang school. Looking at Dustless, Shirlan continued, "At first I was fine. Then I heard their plan by chance, and Zhang Liang suggested to kill me. It's that hypocritical brat again. I knew that he wasn't a good person." Hearing this, Wu Chan snorted softly and immediately carried Shirlan in his arms. "Bastard, what are you trying to do in broad daylight?" Shirlan looked at Dustless in panic and instinctively resisted. "Calm down." Dustless speechlessly glanced at Shirlan and comforted her. "I'm just carrying you back. Don't misunderstand. I'm not a hypocritical gigolo like Zhang Liang." "Yes," staring at Wu Chen's clear eyes, Shirlan reluctantly nodded her head after noticing his clear eyes. "Speaking of which, how has Snow Girl been recently? While carrying Sherlan, Dustless slowly walked to his room. Ever since Gao Jianli's death, she has been greatly affected. Hearing this, Sherlan hesitated for a moment before revealing the truth. You're taking it for granted. Ever since they found out that you are the Dong Huang Tai of the Yin Yang school, the Mo family has imprisoned everyone close to you. I understand. Dustless only nodded faintly. He was not surprised. If it was him, he would have done the same. What's the situation with Rong? Dustless changed the topic and asked about Duamu Rong. Is she also imprisoned by the Mo family? At first, they didn't. They only restricted Miss Rong's movements, but later, at this point, Sherlan sighed in self-reproach. After I eavesdropped on Zhang Liang's plan, I was discovered. In order to cover my retreat, Miss Rong fought with the Mo family. I'm afraid it was very dangerous. Plan? What kind of plan is it? Dustless asked calmly. He also wanted to know what kind of sinister plan it was. Zhang Liang said that he was going to expose your true identity. When the Qin state knows that you are Dustless, Yingzheng will be so angry that he will arrest the whole school of Yin Yang. Sherlan voiced out Zhang Liang's thoughts, but who would have thought that Dustless would just laugh it off? Childish and pedantic. Dustless snorted disdainfully. He quickened his pace and sent Sherlan back to her room to rest. Speaking of which, don't you need to rescue Miss Rong and Snow Lady? They might be in danger. Seeing Dustless so calm, Sherlan was anxious and worried. After all, Duamu Rong was stalling for time with her life. There's no need to rush. There are two sides to everything. Even though Rong, and the Snow Lady's freedom is restricted, there's still a good side. Furthermore, according to my estimations, the Mo family won't kill people for no reason. Dustless was calm and composed. His words confused Sherlan. She could not understand what Dustless was talking about. Is it a good thing that Miss Rong was arrested? You're so strange sometimes. Sherlan continued to ask. The Mo family is not the Mo family of the past. A corner dog will jump over a wall. Jump over a wall. Dustless rolled his eyes and said casually, even if I lent them 100 guts, no one would dare to kill Rong. The Mo family knows about my relationship with her. If they kill Rong, I will definitely take revenge. They won't dare to provoke me. Furthermore, Wu Chen's eyes revealed a deep light. He said with a smile, strong wind knows strong grass. I should have told you just now that everything has a bad side and a good side. Only when encountering a great disaster, human nature will be revealed. Although it is very dangerous to have their freedom restricted, Rong, and Snow Lady can use this opportunity to see the Mo family's true colors. They will completely abandon their last hope for the Mo family and wholeheartedly seek refuge with me. Isn't that a good side? After Sherlan heard this, she nodded and said softly, it seems to make sense. Just rest well. Don't worry about anything else. Dustless left Sherlan in his Confucian residence and gave her a few more instructions. Then, he closed the door and left. He strolled alone on a small path in the forest. Lord Dustless. At this moment, concubine Yin suddenly appeared and stood in front of Dustless with a respectful expression. You're back. So fast. Dustless was slightly stunned when he heard this. He looked at concubine Yin in surprise and then asked, You killed all the disciples of the School of Agriculture? Yes, I killed all of them. Concubine Yin nodded. Just as she was about to report the details, Dustless attacked her. Then, you can go to hell too. Dustless, with a long sword in his hand, pounced on her and said with a sinister smile, Your disguise is really good. But I forgot to tell you that concubine Yin never calls me Lord or anything like that. Idiot. Also, she wouldn't look at me with such respect. Chapter 1940. This damned smiling tiger. Hearing this, concubine Yan's face turned cloudy and dark. She quickly dodged to the side. Retreat now. Black smoke rose from her body, and concubine Yin showed her true form. She turned into a mysterious man in a black robe, and no one could tell what she looked like. You want to retreat in front of me? If you can escape, it's because I'm going easy on you. But I'm in a bad mood now, so I'd better ask you to die here. Seeing the mysterious man running fast, Dustless knew who he was. Black Kylan from Countercurrent Sand. You were lucky that I didn't kill you last time. Do you want God to bless you again? You don't think you're God's illegitimate son, do you? There was a hint of mockery and contempt in his words. Dustless suddenly raised his right hand, and a high-density flash condensed. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The destructive edge wrapped around his thumb, and then Dustless locked onto the Black Kylan's position. He flicked his finger. Whoosh, whoosh. The subtle light suddenly turned into a straight beam of light, and it approached the Black Kylan's body in an instant. Poof! The beam of light was fatal, and it penetrated his head in an instant. You bastard, how dare you kill me? Lord Wei Zhuang will never let you go, Dustless. After saying this with all his strength, the ink Qilin fell to the ground lifelessly. A nobody should have the awareness of a nobody, be ready to die at any time. Dustless didn't even look at the Black Kylan's body. A long time ago, this guy had failed to assassinate him once. He really didn't understand where his confidence came from this time. Who is this? At the same time, concubine Yin arrived late. Seeing the Black Kylan's head penetrated, she took a closer look. Is he the Black Kylan under Wei Zhuang's command? The Black Kylan was quite famous, so it was reasonable that concubine Yin had an impression of him. As you can see, this arrogant guy is here to assassinate me again. Dustless scoffed at the Black Kylan's self-righteous self-confidence. Did it really think that it could deceive everyone? How did you deal with the kids from the Farmers Guild? Looking into Dustless's eyes, Dustless asked curiously, "It would be best to kill them all." Tian Meng escaped under the cover of a few of his men. He was also seriously injured. As for the others he brought with him, I killed them all, concubine Yin said calmly. That brat Tian Meng ran away. Dustless frowned a few times. He had planned to kill Tian Meng to establish his authority, so that the Farmers Guild would not be able to cause trouble every day. They were pathetically stupid to be used by Zhao Gao. Since they were farmers, why didn't they just farm properly? Why did they have to come out and court death? That Tian Meng is the leader of the Lime Mountain Hall of the School of Agriculture. Killing him will cause big problems. Concubine Yin expressed her thoughts. The 100 schools of thought are the best among the disciples of the School of Agriculture. They have a lot of disciples. So what? Dustless asked indifferently. Concubine Yin, their internal conflicts are very intense. Some of them have even reached the point of killing each other. Even if the School of Agriculture is as strong as an iron board, do you think they can pose a threat to us? You think too highly of them. Dustless did not hide his contempt in his words. It was not that Dustless looked down on the School of Agriculture. If they were as strong as an iron board, the destructive power of tens of thousands of disciples would be beyond doubt. The key was that the School of Agriculture was also independent and had their own quirks. This kind of power would definitely be destroyed by others in the future. That makes sense. After thinking about it carefully, concubine Yin nodded slightly. The School of Agriculture was powerful, but the School of Yin was even more exaggerated. Remember, if you meet anyone from the School of Agriculture who dares to provoke us, kill them all. Damn it, that damn woman. Rushing back to the barren mountains of the School of Agriculture, Tian Meng's face was extremely pale. He spat out blood and looked very pale. In the fight just now, concubine Yin had easily injured him. You were very lucky to be able to come back alive from concubine Yin's attack. It seemed that you have some strength. At this moment, an unexpected voice suddenly came from behind. Tian Meng turned around and saw Zhao Gao, who seemed to be strolling leisurely, and the 6 sword slaves. You are Zhao Gao from the Luonet. As the hall master of the Lime Mountain Hall, Tian Meng naturally had good eyesight. He recognized Zhao Gao's identity in an instant. What do you want from me? The School of Agriculture has nothing to do with your Luonet. Tian Meng took a deep breath and looked at Zhao Gao warily. One was the most loyal dog of the Qin Kingdom, and the other was a member of the Anti-Qin Alliance. Naturally, the two sides were like fire and water. Nothing to do with you? That's not right. We have a great relationship. Zhao Gao looked at Tian Meng gloomily and smiled maliciously. The Shinnon Order of the School of Agriculture was issued by me. How dare you say that it has nothing to do with me? So it was you. Why did you issue such a vicious order? That Zichun is not an ordinary person. Hearing that, Tianming's heart skipped a beat. He knew that things were not going well. If he were an ordinary person, would he need the School of Agriculture? Stupid. Tianming, you'll die here now. The other members of the Lime Mountain Hall of the School of Agriculture will definitely think that it was Zichun who did it. They will definitely be irreconcilable. He waved his hand, and the 6 sword slaves behind him immediately pounced on Tianming. Puff, puff, puff. The 6 sword slaves cooperated closely. In just a few breaths, Tianming had been severely injured by the 6 sword slaves and fell into a pool of blood. Chapter 1941. Seriously, for such a small fry, you even troubled me to personally make a trip. You deserve to die, right? Zhao Gao glanced at Tianming, who had died unwillingly, and muttered to himself, "The 6 halls of the School of Agriculture. Try your best to put on a happy and serious performance." In reality, Zhao Gao did not expect the School of Agriculture to defeat Zichun. After all, there was still the Yinyang School and the scattered Confucian School behind him. Let's go. Time flew by, and 3 days later, Tianming's death was unavoidably discovered by the School of Agriculture disciples. After all, he had died on the way back to the School of Agriculture. After only 2 hours, Tianming's body was discovered by the School of Agriculture disciples. That damn Zichun, he must have done it. That brat actually dared to kill Big Brother. I will definitely tear him into pieces and feed his corpse to the dogs. That will satisfy the hatred in my heart. In Tianming's morning hall, a young man with an eye patch and a domineering appearance was so angry that he wanted to tear Dustless apart alive. This person was Tianming's second brother, Tian Hu. Second uncle, please be careful. This is father's morning hall. Do not make a ruckus. The delicate and weak young girl with a pale and weak face frowned slightly when she saw Tian Hu's condescending manner and said with displeasure. A strange light flashed across the eyes of this seemingly delicate girl. She was Tianming's daughter, Tianyan. Ever since Tianming was assassinated, she had inherited his position as the hall master of the School of Agriculture. Hearing this, Tian Hu was stunned for a moment. Only then did his fiery temper subside. However, his face was still gloomy and filled with hatred. If this was not Tianming's morning hall, he would definitely continue to be angry. I've been rude. However, I also feel sorry for Big Brother's death. You can rest assured that I will deal with this Zichun. Tian Hu's eyes were filled with killing intent. He was indeed, like his name, a ferocious and capable tiger. Young miss, don't be angry. This is also to avenge the dead hall, Master Tianming. A pair of shifty eyes had been quietly observing this scene. Noticing that the atmosphere had become somewhat awkward, he stepped out to mediate. If you want to avenge the dead hall master of Lizhan Hall, you must unify the 6 halls of the School of Agriculture. That brat Zichun's background is too strong. With just the strength of our Gonggong Hall and Chiyu Hall, it's not enough to deal with him. After all, that brat has the School of Yinyang and Confucianism standing behind him. The person who spoke was the hall master of the Gonggong Hall, Tianzhong. This fellow had shifty eyes, and his eyes were very bright. He seemed to be the type of person who would be easily swayed by the wind. He didn't seem to be reliable at all. Second uncle, father's death. I never said that it was Zichun's doing. There's still something fishy about this matter. Tian Yin, who was guarding Tianming's coffin, suddenly had a strange light in his eyes. It was as if he could see through everything, and the truth behind it also surfaced. To put it bluntly, you still want to become the new hero leader. Hearing Tianzhong's words, Tian Yan's expression didn't change, but he didn't take it seriously in his heart. Tian Hu's previous words sounded nice. He wanted to avenge his father, Tianming, but in the end, it was still for his own sake. He just wanted to become the hero leader. The place where the School of Agriculture disciples found father's death is our School of Agriculture's territory. If Zichun really killed father, he shouldn't have died there. Tian Yin paused for a moment and whispered to himself, Also, I've carefully examined father's body. There were two different kinds of attacks. One of them was caused by a sharp weapon. This is the root cause of father's death. The second kind of attack is similar to the moves used by the school of yin yang. In other words, the real culprit behind Big Brother's death might have been framed by the school of yin yang. Hearing this, Tianhu frowned. Now that things had come to this point, if he still didn't understand, then he would be an idiot or a retard. That should be the case. Tianyan nodded and continued to explain. When Zichen came down from the mirage, a few School of Agriculture disciples happened to pass by and found a woman from the School of Yin Yang following behind him. I think she was the one who attacked father. Although the injury was serious, it didn't cause father's death. The real cause of father's death was the sword wound later on. There's such a shocking inside story. After hearing this, Tianhu asked in disbelief, "Then who do you think is the real culprit who killed Big Brother?" When Big Brother's body was brought back, I heard from a few subordinates that there were sword wounds all over his body. Moreover, they were all extremely fatal. It was as if he was born to kill people. The wounds were all aimed at the vital parts. That's right. Tianyan nodded and then said seriously, "Father was killed by a sword expert in an instant. He was killed on the spot almost without any strength to fight back. There are only two people who can do such a thing. One is Zichen of the Confucian school. I heard that his strength is extremely terrifying and unfathomable. As for the other one," a cold killing intent flashed in Tianyan's eyes. "It can only be the slave of 6 swords of Zhao Gao. If Wu Chun or Zhao Gao were here, they would definitely be full of praise for Tianyan." She narrated the battle between Tian Meng and concubine Yin, as well as the process of the slave of 6 swords killing Tian Meng. Although there were some discrepancies in some places, it was commendable that she could analyze it so meticulously. Even so, our Chiyu Hall, Gonggong Hall, and Lime Mountain Hall still have to work together. Whether it's Zhao Gao or Dustless, we can deal with them calmly. Tianhu changed the topic and mentioned the alliance again. It was not difficult to see that he was wholeheartedly aiming for the position of Hero Chief. Chapter 1942. Tian Yin did not have a good impression of her second uncle. In the end, he was just jackals of the same tribe as Zhao Gao. He was not a good person. To put it bluntly, he only wanted the position of Hero Chief. It was worth mentioning that Tian Yin also knew that her father, Tian Meng, also wanted to assassinate Dustless for the position of Hero Chief. Tianhu also wanted the position of Hero Chief. Although they called each other brothers, there was only one Dustless. Naturally, they would have to fight in the future. Although Tianhu's words were better than a song, saying that he wanted to avenge his father, in reality, he was hiding evil intentions. People from the farmer's family are unreliable. Tian Yin frowned and could not help but think of a way out. Even if it was not for herself, she had to think of her only remaining brother. If it's an alliance, I agree. After thinking about it, Tian Yin finally chose to agree to Tianhu's request. If she refused, this guy might do something desperate, and that would be terrible. To some extent, if she wanted to win the position of Hero Chief, it was destined that the hall masters of the other halls were potential enemies. Tianhu might take the opportunity to annex her Lime Mountain Hall. Haha, that's what I've been waiting for. Hearing this, Tianhu was overjoyed. He immediately said excitedly, "If that's the case, the position of Hero Chief will be ours. Chiyu Hall, Gonggong Hall, and Lime Mountain Hall will join forces. How can that kid Zichen not die?" "Ha! Everyone, you're talking too much about me." At this moment, a voice filled with endless charm quietly sounded. The voice was like poison, causing everyone to be stunned. They all followed the source of the voice. A mature woman with a seductive appearance and seductive charm suddenly appeared in front of them. "Hall Master of Kuei Ming Hall, Tianmi?" Seeing the mysterious woman who suddenly appeared, Tianzhong and Tianhu frowned. The former said coldly, "It's early in the morning, and the weasel has come to pay a visit to the chicken. What an unlucky year." On the other hand, Tian Yin remained calm. It was as if he had already met Tianmi, who had come uninvited. "Ayaya, Tianhu, your mouth is really poisonous. Why don't you have the spirit of a man?" Tianmi leisurely blew out a smoke ring and chuckled. Besides, I'm not here to give you a New Year's greeting. Besides, under the same interests, a weasel and a chicken can also join hands to fight the enemy. We should change what we said just now. If the four of us join forces, will that brat Zi-chun still have a chance to survive? Life is truly unpredictable. I didn't expect Dustless to be Dong Wang Tai from the school of Yin Yang. In the Mo family stronghold, the Snow Lady and Duan Murong were locked up by the Mo family's people. The Snow Lady's face was especially bitter and bleak as the sunlight shone in through the window. Little Gao was killed by Xing Hun from the Yin Yang school. Did Dustless instruct him to do this? The Snow Lady clenched her fists as her face was filled with hatred. No, it definitely wasn't Dustless's doing. Duan Murong immediately refuted. Whether or not it was Dustless, she had to find an excuse for Dustless. I also believe that it wasn't him, but the Snow Lady's eyes dimmed. No matter what, it was a fact that Dustless was the mastermind behind the school of Yin Yang. The two of us are in a very bad situation now. It doesn't matter who killed Little Gao. After we escape from this cage, we can just find Dustless and ask him face to face. Duan Murong patted the Snow Lady's shoulder and consoled her. You're right. The Snow Lady nodded as a look of disgust flashed across her face. In the past, I really liked the Mo family and gave everything I had to them. But now I hate the Mo family to death. Just because we're close to Dustless, they locked us up without any reason. Oof. The wind knew the strongest grass. At a critical moment, a person's true nature would surface. Don't worry, Snow Lady. We still have a chance to see the light of day again. Duan Murong gave the Snow Lady an encouraging smile and said softly, since the Mo family didn't kill us, it means that we're still useful. Don't think too much. Just wait quietly. At the same time, in another direction, Dustless also did something he had never done before. Teams of Golden Fire cavalry were gathering. There were about 700 to 800 of them. They formed a huge black mass, and there was almost no end to it. Are you sure you want to destroy the Mo family? Seeing the endless Golden Fire cavalry, the higher-ups of the school of Yin Yang appeared at the Confucian school's Little Sage Manor. Young Master Ming, Great Master Ming, Concubine Yin, Moon Goddess, and Dustless were also there. And this time, they were targeting the traitors of the Mo family. That's right. In the past, I planned to use the Astral Soul to destroy the Mo family. However, it seems like there's no need for that now. Since Zhang Liang already knows that I'm the mastermind behind the school of Yin Yang, all my previous plans have gone down the drain. I've been playing the Infernal Bureau for so long. It's time to put an end to it. Since they had fallen out, Dustless naturally wouldn't hold back. Moreover, Duan Murong and the Snow Lady were still locked up by the Mo family. Even though he was sure that the Mo family wouldn't do anything to harm the two ladies, it was better to be safe than sorry. When he heard that Dustless was willing to destroy the Mo family, Li Si generously lent a few hundred Golden Fire cavalry to Dustless. Although Dustless was the enemy, Liu Sha, the Mo family, and the other traitors of the Empire were also enemies. If Dustless was willing to destroy them personally, Li Si would naturally be more than willing to do so. The person who did the work was Dustless. In the end, the credit went to Li Si. How could he not agree? Chapter 1943. Li Si was happy to see this. After all, he was the one who lent the Golden Fire cavalry to Dustless. When the time came, he would get a lot of credit. Even if the attack failed, it would have nothing to do with Li Si. The leader would be Dustless. So if Dustless failed, Li Si could stay out of it. He could even attack Dustless and make Fu Suji offend him. If Dustless succeeded, then Li Si, who lent the Golden Fire cavalry to Dustless, would get a lot of credit. One had to admit that Li Si was a very comprehensive person. He was always on the side that was beneficial to him. Let's go. Chen Wuchen and the others got on their black horses and left Mulberry Sea City in a grandiose manner. The moment such a large group of people appeared, the Mahis clan noticed it. Do the Mahis have to guard against me like this? Dustless, who was sitting on the horse, suddenly sighed and said regretfully, Tian Ming and Xiao Yu are really fast. When I was studying in the Little Saint Manor, Tian Ming was always late for class. This is the first time I have seen him run so fast, especially when it comes to running for his life. That kid is really good at everything. On the night that Dustless's identity was exposed, Tian Ming and Xiao Yu secretly disappeared in the Little Saint Manor. They're just two kids. Even if I let them live, they won't do any harm to me. Why do they have to run away? How pedantic. All the land under the sky is the king's land. All the land under the sky is the king's subject. What do they think they could run to? Dustless couldn't help but laugh. Some people always like to take things for granted. Those two kids are Ying Zheng's enemies. Yueshin was also riding on the horse beside Dustless. Behind them were Concubine Yin and the others. Behind them were the Golden Fire Cavalry of the Qin Kingdom. Of course, these soldiers were just there to scare people. For experts, these Gold Fire Cavalrymen were of little use. Take Sword Saint Gania, for example. Under the encirclement of 500 Qin soldiers, he managed to carve out a bloody path with Tianming. This time, the Mahis were surrounded by Wei Zhuang's quicksand and many other experts. It was impossible for the Gold Fire Cavalrymen to wipe them out. Secondly, the forces responsible for annihilating the enemies were Dustless, the Moon Goddess, Great Master Ming, Young Master Ming, and East Lord Yin Fei of the School of Yinyang. An enemy of Ying Zheng? This has nothing to do with me. Dustless answered indifferently. There was no conflict of interest between him and Ying Zheng, and that was why both of them could stand on the same side. If there was a conflict of interest one day, then sorry, he would have no choice but to kill the first emperor in history. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. As soon as the large group stepped out of Mulberry Sea City, a gust of wind suddenly blew through the void. Flocks of migratory birds streaked across the horizon, and pure white feathers drifted down from the sky. Everyone looked at the feathers that were falling from the sky. They were at a loss as to what to do. The Golden Fire Cavalrymen of Qin State were even more confused. They were the powerful cavalrymen used by Ying Zheng to attack cities. But to be honest, they were not very good at dealing with Jianghu sorcerers. This was exactly what the saying, "Do not meddle in politics when you are not in your position," meant. This is by Feng of Lu Sha. A strange gleam flickered in young Master Ming's eyes. Her watery eyes stared at Dustless's back quietly. Her eyes, which were usually cold in the face of everything, were now filled with some warmth. "I'm afraid he is loitering nearby, spying on us. There's no need." Dustless waved his hand and interrupted young Master Ming. He was too lazy to waste time. "I know Bai Feng is spying on us, but let him be. It's impossible for a group of several hundred people to hide. Let nature take its course. Let's just attack Mo clan in such a grandiose manner. Let's see if those people can ascend to the sky. What's the use of spying on us? I'm going to raid your lair in broad daylight, so what? Let's move on." With a wave of his hand, Dustless and the others moved forward with all their might, approaching the depths of the mountain. Before his identity was exposed, Dustless used to go to Mo clan's stronghold frequently, so he was very familiar with their location. Therefore, with a spy like Dustless leading the way, the Qin army rushed to Mo clan's stronghold effortlessly. Boom, boom, boom. Groups of Golden Fire Cavalrymen from Qin State were running wildly. The entire valley was shaking and dust was rising. One had to admit that the Golden Fire Cavalrymen of Qin State were very impactful. "All right, did you bring that brat Xinghan?" Dustless suddenly looked at Great Si Ming and asked, "Nothing must happen to that brat. He's my scapegoat. He is in the carriage behind us. He is chained up. There is no way he can escape." At the same time, in Mo clan's stronghold. "Are you sure, young Master Bai Feng?" In the depths of the underground, Mo clan had dug a complicated tunnel. Master Ban looked at Bai Feng, who was leaning against the wall. He was the one who went out to gather information. "Dustless is leading the Golden Fire Cavalrymen here. I estimate that there are about 700 to 800 of them." Bai Feng glanced at Master Ban indifferently and fell silent. "Is that so?" Hearing this, Master Ban sighed with emotion. He looked at the dense array of mechanical beasts behind him and said helplessly, "If possible, I really don't want to use it on my former allies. Recently, Master Ban and the other disciples of Mo clan had created many mechanical white tigers to resist the Qin army. Of course, the white tigers were not the only important part. Roar, roar, roar. In the deepest part of the tunnel, faint dragon roars could be heard from time to time. It was full of deterrence and made people submit to it involuntarily. Looking over, it was a huge mechanical green dragon. Just like what Zheng said before, Mo clan did not use the mechanical green dragon in the past because they did not find a suitable opportunity. Now, the opportunity was here. Chapter 1944. Boom, boom, boom. The extremely oppressive dragon roars seeped into one's soul, and even Bai Feng could not help but frown. She recalled the moment when the mechanical green dragon broke out from the Mo family's mechanical city, and everything began to burn. It annihilated the entire Qin army, and goosebumps appeared on her body. Wherever the mechanical green dragon passed by, everything would be burned to ashes. It was simply the synonym of a natural disaster, not to mention the mechanical white tiger army. Looks like there's a good show to watch this time. An enchanting laughter rang out from the darkness. Bai Feng and Master Ban looked towards the source of the laughter and saw flowing sand crimson drill. Only a small number of Mo family disciples and quicksand members were left in the Mo family stronghold. Most of the others had secretly left through the tunnel. One cannot put all their eggs in one basket. Anyone could understand this logic. I really did not expect Dustless to be the leader of the school of Yin Yang. Interesting. Sometimes, the truth is just so laughable and realistic. Speaking of which, how much time do they have left? Qi Lian sighed with emotion before he looked at Bai Feng. About an hour? Bai Feng looked up calmly at Qi Lian before lowering her head again. Her eyes flashed, and no one knew what she was thinking. About? How can you give me a rough estimate of such important information? Continue to gather information about the enemy for me. Qi Lian reprimanded Bai Feng loudly as he glared angrily at her. As for Master Ban, he was fiddling with the mechanical beasts as if nothing had happened. Many of the Mo family disciples had already started to control the mechanical white tigers. However, what made Qi Lian even more furious was that Bai Feng treated her like air and ignored her. She did not even look at her. You're ignoring my orders? Qi Lian's face was cold as she slowly pulled out the soft sword at her waist. Orders? Bai Feng suddenly opened her eyes. In a flash, she appeared in front of Qi Lian. While Qi Lian was in a daze, her legs suddenly swept out with unstoppable force. Bang! Even though Crimson Viper crossed his arms in front of his chest to defend himself, he was still kicked back by the powerful force. He almost lost his balance and fell. Qi Lian, watch your tone. You don't have the qualifications to order me around. Bai Feng glanced coldly at Qi Lian before she grunted coldly, flicked her sleeve, and left. You're the same as me. You're just someone who was abandoned by Wei Zhuang to be used as a rearguard. Bai Feng finally disappeared after saying that. Stupid. Qi Lian looked at Bai Feng's back with ridicule and contempt. He sneered inwardly. Sorry, Bai Feng. You are the only one who has been abandoned. I still have a trump card to survive. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, a quarter of an hour had passed. The Mo family really knows how to choose their location. Looking at the surrounding terrain, Great Ming had a feeling. This place was surrounded by mountains, and there was only one way to go. If they were to ambush the enemy, they would have a great advantage as it was easy to defend and hard to attack. Unfortunately, it's all in the past now. Dustless casually responded to Great Ming. He sneered inwardly. After offending me, you still want to establish yourself under the sky? It's better for the Mo family to meet in the underworld. Screech. At this moment, the crisp cries of beasts resounded through the clouds. Following that, the skies suddenly turned dark. The Qin soldiers, including Dustless and the Yin Yang school of thought, looked up at the sky. What's that? A big white bird? This is the first time I've seen such a big bird. Look, there's someone standing on it. He seems to be the one who was monitoring our movements at the beginning. Where are the archers? Shoot 'em down for me. The Qin soldiers scrambled to be the first to shout. Soon after, they took out their bows and arrows and shot them into the sky. Countless arrows were shot into the sky. Swoosh! Although there were so many arrows that it was dazzling, only a small number of them managed to hit the White Phoenix. However, it was not very effective. The White Phoenix under his feet was extremely fast, and it could easily dodge the arrows. Screech! Baifeng easily crushed the attack of the Qin soldiers. Baifeng was riding on a big white bird, the White Phoenix. It let out a crisp cry from its huge beak, as if it was mocking the people on land. The human heart is not what it used to be. It's fine that people are getting more and more sinister and cunning. But what's going on these days? Why is even the leader of the birds so arrogant? Dustless was speechless. When he saw Baifeng's cold face, he sneered. Do you need me to shoot him down? Great Ming came over and recommended herself. As she had consumed the magma fruit, her strength had already been enhanced. No need. Let me do it. You've eaten the magma fruit for less than a month. You don't know some moves yet. Dustless shook his head and refused. He focused on Baifeng in the sky, and a murderous smile appeared on his face. 90 black coffin of breaking Tao. Swoosh! Wu Chen's words were as mysterious as a magic trick. The moment he finished speaking, countless black rays appeared in the void. The powerful force actually caused the void to distort. The evil black rays pulsed with a deadly sharpness. Not to mention Baifeng, who was targeted for attack. Even the moon deity was alarmed. Uft, uft, uft. The unparalleled shadowless evil blade instantly pierced through the White Phoenix, not even leaving behind a corpse. The White Phoenix was directly cut into pieces by the incomparably powerful light, and every part of its body was cut into pieces. Chapter 1945. The gigantic White Phoenix's corpse was torn to shreds, turning into blood-red fragments that filled the air. The ground was littered with blood-stained chunks of flesh. As for Baifeng herself, the instant the black coffin attacked, she realized that something was amiss. She decisively jumped down in advance. Only then was she able to avoid the misfortune of being sliced apart. However, what a pity. Looking at the pieces of meat all over the ground, Wu Chan groaned in dissatisfaction. I originally wanted to suppress my strength as much as possible. I just wanted to kill it. Who would have thought that I used too much strength and turned into a pile of powder? Now what's the difference? It's already dead. Why do you care about the situation? The moon god and the others looked at each other, not knowing what Dustless was complaining about. Of course it's different, Dustless said in a very distressed tone. I originally planned to try my best to suppress the power and preserve the bird's body as completely as possible. Who would have thought that it would end up like this? It's really a pity. To be honest, this is the first time I've seen such a big bird. I really want to try roasting it. Hearing this, the higher-ups of the school of Enyang almost fell off their horses. So this was why Dustless said it was a pity. He thought that the White Phoenix tasted good. Who knew that it would still be shredded into pieces? Glancing at the pieces of meat on the ground, Dustless said to himself, I have to say this bird is really lucky. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. All of a sudden, a loud sound came from the front, followed by a sky full of feathers. You're asking for death. Seeing this, before Wu Chan could do anything, Xiao Ming waved her slim fingers. Following her move, groups of green leaves swarmed over from all directions. Afterward, Xiao Ming threw a cold glance at those incoming feathers, then flicked those leaves out of her fingers. Clang, 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 like darts colliding with hidden weapons. The moment the green leaf and the feather came into contact, bright sparks immediately splashed out, and an ear-piercing roar resounded incessantly. However, the outcome was almost one-sided. The emerald green leaf almost massacred all the feathers in the sky. Young Arbiter Ming, you've grown stronger. Moon God mumbled to herself. She instinctively looked at the calm Dustless. She was afraid that it had something to do with this mysterious man. After all, young Master Ming was Dustless's wife. How could he not help her? It was the same for Great Ming. Both of them who had physical contact with Dustless had their strengths greatly improved. After a while, a large number of feathers disappeared. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, everything returned to normal. Right in front of them, a handsome young master dressed in white came into view. It was none other than Bai Feng, who was completely unscathed but had an ashen complexion. Damn it! Recalling the tragic scene of White Phoenix being torn to shreds, White Phoenix gnashed her teeth in anger. Her gaze was as cold as a knife as she stared at the instigator of all this, Dustless. Don't look at me with such a ferocious gaze. I'm actually very sad about the tragic death of your mount. You have to understand that I'm still hungry. This is the first time I've seen such a big bird. I really wanted to eat it. Unfortunately, it turned into a pile of minced meat in the end. What a pity. Dustless showed an extremely disappointed expression. But now, it seems like your mount isn't the lucky one. Dustless glanced at White Phoenix, who was dressed in bright clothes, and said coldly, "Your luck is equally amazing. You're actually unscathed. You're worthy of praise." The moment the black coffin struck, Bai Feng instinctively jumped off the White Phoenix and avoided the fate of being dismembered. Luck? White Phoenix frowned. Then, she said proudly, "I think it's because of my strength." "And you?" Bai Feng's gaze locked onto Wu Chen's body. His brows suddenly furrowed together. He looked around and suddenly realized that Wu Chen had disappeared from his line of sight. "Do you think you have the right to talk about strength in front of me?" A dead and hoarse voice reverberated behind her. White Phoenix turned her head and saw Dustless's cold face and the fatal blade light. Even though she retreated immediately, Dustless's speed was still too fast. Even though White Phoenix was known for her speed, she did not have any advantage in front of Dustless. A conspicuous burn mark appeared on her abdomen. Cough, cough, cough. Bai Feng coughed violently after being severely injured by Dustless in an instant. She widened her eyes and looked at this expressionless man. His strength had completely refreshed White Phoenix's understanding of him. "When I say that you're lucky, it's because of your luck. It's not because of your strength." Dazzling light gathered at the tip of his finger. Dustless raised his eyes and looked at White Phoenix, who was drenched in cold sweat. Then he said softly, "Die in peace." Laser shot. A straight ray of light shot out from his finger and shot towards White Phoenix. "You want to kill me? Dream on." Seeing the incoming ray of light, White Phoenix stomped hard on the ground and used all her strength to avoid the ray. She managed to retreat more than 10 meters away in time. Boom, boom, boom. The place that was attacked by Dustless suddenly set off a violent explosion. The ground was burned to a pitch black. Cough, cough. Let's retreat for now. Bai Feng looked at Dustless fearfully. Just as she was about to retreat, she suddenly felt a sharp pain in her abdomen. Boiling heat instantly spread throughout her body. She lowered her head and saw that her abdomen had been penetrated by a magma fist. "Don't forget that you still have the Yin Yang school behind you." Great Ming looked at the stunned White Phoenix in disdain. Then he increased the output of the magma, and the boiling magma instantly swallowed White Phoenix. The quicksand White Phoenix would die at this moment. Chapter 1946. Bai Feng's death was nothing more than an insignificant interlude. Since this fellow had overestimated himself and sought death, he must have already made preparations to go to the Yellow Springs. "Let's move on." Waving his hand, Wu Chun got on the horse again. Just as he took 2 steps, who would have thought that after he took a few steps, the deathly silent valley suddenly shook as if it had been detonated. Everyone's eyes widened as they looked straight ahead. The road ahead was suddenly filled with a monstrous cloud of dust. Following that, the originally stable valley suddenly began to tremble. Boom, boom, boom. As though there was an earthquake, the ground kept shaking. Many of the Golden Fire cavalrymen could not even stabilize their bodies and fell off their horses. 20 mechanical white tigers. The moon goddess's face turned gloomy. The culprit behind this huge movement was the wild beasts that were roaring in front of them, the brand new mechanical white tigers. The Mo family has been doing a lot of things behind my back. Wu Chun was also dumbstruck by the Mo family's big move. It was not because he was afraid of their strength, but because there were a total of 20 mechanical white beards blocking in front of him. It was truly shocking. I guess these are all from the past. Concubine Yin looked at some of the old mechanical white tigers, and they were obviously old. She analyzed. I guess these are old equipment that was secretly found in the ruins of the Mo family's mechanical city. Many of them were made recently. Speaking of which, didn't the Mo family advocate love with impartiality and non-aggression? Why did they make so many mechanical white tigers? This is not in line with their teachings, Great Si Ming said in shock. Anyone would be surprised to see a group of mechanical white tigers. Love with impartiality and non-aggression? Dustless sneered and said in disdain, Bullsh asterisk T. Love with impartiality and non-aggression are all lies. Compared to the mechanical white tigers, the mechanical green dragon is more powerful. I saw it with my own eyes the last time. That thing can burn everything. Compared to the mechanical green dragon, Dustless felt that the mechanical white tigers were much weaker. The biggest difference was that although the mechanical white tigers were hard to make, they could be mass-produced. Just like the current situation, as long as there was enough time, they could create an army of mechanical white tigers. As for the Mo family's mechanical azure dragon, there was only one of them. Surrender. At this moment, a voice that Dustless was familiar with suddenly came from the void. He looked up and saw a wooden mechanical bird flying in the sky. The Mo family's vermilion bird? Dustless saw the familiar face of the person controlling the vermilion bird when he recognized the name of the mechanical beast. Oh, it's Master Ban. Dustless didn't bother to smile and asked, Old man, long time no see. How have you been? You're not going to kill me, are you? Why are you treating me like this? Dustless, as long as you surrender, the Mo family will spare your life for the sake of our past friendship. Master Ban sat on the mechanical vermilion bird. His voice was so loud that it reached everyone's ears. The people from the school of Enyang were still fine. They knew that Zi Chun was dustless, but the soldiers of the state of Qin were clearly not in a good position. They were whispering to each other. From the looks of it, it seemed that Dustless was inextricably linked to the school of Mo Dustless. That sounds like the name of a rebel. Why do the people of the school of Mo call Zi Chun of the Confucians that? The Qin soldiers were confused and couldn't figure out what Master Ban was talking about. Only some shrewd people noticed something unusual. Then, one person spread the news to 10 to 100, and the way everyone looked at Dustless changed. What a despicable old man. Concubine Yin, Yue Shun, and the others looked at each other. They were all dissatisfied and disgusted by Master Ban's cunning. The old man kept saying that he would spare Dustless, but now he deliberately exposed Dustless's identity in front of the Qin soldiers. Wasn't it obvious that he wanted to kill Dustless? This stinky old man looks harmless, but he's actually very cunning. The people of the school of Mo are all hypocrites. Great Si Ming snorted, a cold light condensed in his eyes. It's fine. Dustless just waved his hand, and a ray of light shot out from his fingertip. The mechanical vermilion bird's flank was suddenly hit by a fatal blow, and a clear hole appeared. The vermilion bird, which was flying high, couldn't stabilize its body and fell quickly. Hateful guy who doesn't know what's good for him. Seeing that Dustless was so insensible, Master Ban couldn't hold back anymore. He waved his hand, and more than 20 mechanical white tigers immediately began to run wildly. Annihilate the Qin army immediately. Don't worry about it, and don't help the Qin army. Let the mechanical white tigers kill them all. They heard something they shouldn't have. Dustless laughed sinisterly. The people of the school of Enyang stepped aside and let the people of the school of Mo torture the Qin state's Golden Fire cavalry. More than 20 white tigers could easily destroy 700 to 800 Qin soldiers. In front of advanced technology, ordinary people were just grains of sand. As for us, looking at the place where the mechanical vermilion bird fell, Dustless ordered with a cold face. If I'm not wrong, Master Ban might have activated the mechanical green dragon. I want to see what's different and rescue Snowgirl and Ronger. The Qin army behind them was completely ignored by Dustless and the others. Anyway, these soldiers were sent by Li Si. If they died, then so be it. It had nothing to do with them. In addition to helping Dustless and the others to annihilate the school of MO, these Qin soldiers also had a special mission, which was to monitor Dustless and the others. Just as Dustless expected, after the mechanical vermilion bird was shot down, Master Band and the others spent a lot of effort to land and then immediately went to activate the hidden mechanical green dragon. The monster was about to break out of the cage. Chapter 1947. Hurry up and get ready. Otherwise, we will miss this great opportunity. If we can't take care of Dustless this time, it will be even harder to kill Dustless in the future. Master Band urged loudly. In front of them was a super monster. This bronze monster had a mighty head. Its appearance was similar to that of a dragon's head. At the same time, there were two large eyes embedded in its eye sockets. Its body was dozens of meters tall. Even though there was no one controlling it for the time being, it would occasionally let out a frightening dragon roar. Not only that, this monster also had two broad wings. When it flapped slightly, it created a fierce storm. There were many long barrels hanging on it, which were most likely filled with explosives. These shameless bastards of the MO family are really good at cheating. They even know how to make explosives in this era. The members of the school of Enyang who had arrived on horseback looked up at the huge green dragon. The leader was, of course, Dustless, especially when he saw the wooden barrels hanging on its wings. He couldn't help but think of a strange thing: missiles. Although it was fundamentally different from the missiles in the world he lived in, that was the first impression it gave people. Shoo, shoo, shoo. Suddenly, a fierce gust of wind blew towards them. Suddenly, the earth started to shake and the mountains shook. The trees were snapped, and the terrifying wind made people feel like they were in the middle of a typhoon. Damn monster! Dustless was fine. Although the wind was exaggerated, it was not enough to affect him. However, the rest of the school of Enyang were stunned as they looked at the monster in the sky. Their bodies were blown back by the wind. Dustless had no choice but to release chakra from his body and cover them tightly. This is the mechanical green dragon. Young Master Ming looked at the giant mechanical beast hovering above them with a strange expression. She said softly, "It doesn't look like a dragon at all. It looks more like a bird." The members of the school of Enyang nodded. In terms of appearance, it was totally different from what they had imagined. That's not important. Dustless didn't care about it at all. He said indifferently, "This green dragon and the white tiger mechanical beast are the source of the MO family's confidence. After destroying them, the MO family will fall apart." But Concubine Yin paused for a moment. She looked up at the mechanical green dragon flying in the void and said in frustration, "But we don't have the ability to attack this monster, let alone destroy it. We'll be lucky if we can survive." "That's right. Dustless, your school of Enyang ends here." Old Man Band's confident voice came from the void. "If it weren't for the situation going out of control, I wouldn't have used my final trump card. Old Man Band, how much longer are you going to pretend?" "The green dragon has already been activated. What's the point of saying all this now? Are you going to tell me about your MO family's love with impartiality and non-aggression?" Dustless looked at the mechanical green dragon circling in the air indifferently. Suddenly, he laughed in contempt and said, "Moreover, do you really think that victory is already in your hands? Oof. Could it be that you think you can still turn defeat into victory?" When Old Band saw that Dustless was being stubborn, he didn't want to waste any more time talking nonsense. He decisively pressed the button to control the green dragon. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The wooden gunpowder barrels hanging from the wings of the green dragon suddenly fell from the sky. The strangest thing was that they were able to turn around and attack from all directions, as if they were automatically guided by a satellite. What uncanny technology! If this had happened in the future, it would have been understandable. However, this was more than 2,000 years ago. The MO family's ability to create the green dragon was completely cheating. At the same time, Dustless suddenly had a lot of confidence in Yun Zhongjuan. Since the Mo family could create this kind of mechanical beast that defied the laws of physics, there was no reason why Yun Zhongjuan couldn't create the amazing elixir of immortality. But it's a pity. Qin Susanu. The energy fluctuations that had shrouded them suddenly rose to a new level. Then, they quickly shrank, revealing layers of skeletons. A ferocious-looking monster suddenly emerged from the water. Boom, boom, boom. The wooden explosives that could navigate all blasted on the mature Susanu's body. Suddenly, a large fireball swept up, and the area within a radius of 100 meters was ignited with a blazing disaster. When the green dragon was first activated, it was also an exaggerated scene. The flames burned everything, and the earth shook. It should be dead, right? Master Ban and the others who were controlling the green dragon wiped their sweat. The ground was a mess. Looking at the scorched land, their confidence swelled. They were afraid that only a few of such shocking mechanical beasts would be enough to destroy the invincible cavalry of the Qin Kingdom. Master Ban, look, Teacher Su said in surprise. What's that? Is it a golden giant? A huge gust of wind came from afar, and the black smoke that filled the sky dispersed. A golden energy monster suddenly appeared in front of their eyes. Damn it, what kind of monster is that? Is it also a mechanical beast? Dustless and the others are safe and sound. Seeing that the people protected by the golden giant were unharmed, Master Ban's internal organs jumped violently. He didn't have time to be surprised. He pressed the button of the green dragon again, and the wooden gunpowder barrels hanging from its wings shot out again. It's impolite not to reciprocate. Reciprocity is basic etiquette. You can't keep attacking me. Dustless smiled coldly. He straightened his fingers and pointed to the depths of the void. The golden energy ball at the tip of his thumb flashed quietly and tore the surrounding sky apart in an instant. Wang Su's flash. Chapter 1948. Ka ka ka. The energy ball spun rapidly, and the void began to distort and expand in the form of a vortex. The rampaging power distorted space and time, shattering the boundless sky. With Wang Su's flash as the center, a pitch-black hole appeared in the void, radiating an intense gravitational force. Even the sunlight was sucked in, and in an instant, the entire sky turned dark. Damn it, what's going on? Master Ban, who was controlling the mechanical green dragon in the sky, shouted in panic. He tried his best to control the mechanical green dragon to fly north, but the movement of the entire time and space had been rewritten, and the mechanical green dragon's huge body was constantly being pulled back. Master Ban was stunned when he turned his head to look. What's that? The void above Dustless's head was hazy, and a giant vortex appeared, constantly swallowing the sky within a radius of hundreds of kilometers. The white clouds and the clear sky were all crushed, as if the end of the world had arrived, and endless despair filled the air. The mechanical green dragon naturally couldn't escape, and it was about to be crushed by the dark hole. It's over if it's swallowed. Master Ban's heart was filled with despair. He looked at the flash in Dustless's hand with fear, and his heart was in his throat. Hurry up and knock that ball out of Dustless's hand. Master Ban, who was sweating profusely, ordered his assistant who was controlling the mechanical beast. He felt his blood boiling after being aimed at by the flash. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The mechanical green dragon flapped its wings, and countless wooden explosives shot out again at Dustless in unison. This is the last farewell, Master Ban. Dustless raised his eyelids and glanced at the incoming missiles. The flash condensed in his right hand flicked out with his finger. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Wherever the golden light touched, the void shattered and collapsed in droves. The blue sky was horrifying, as if it had been cut into pieces by a peerless divine sword. Really, it's too easy for you guys. Dying to this move, it's not in vain for us to know each other. Dustless said uninterestedly after letting out a breath of cold air. Although Dustless's void flash could be used by all great voids above the level of a Juches. In terms of density, the void flash used by Dustless was dozens of times more powerful than Vasto Lord's. After devouring the Hogyoku and the Spirit King, Dustless himself did not know how much spiritual pressure he had accumulated. It's all over now. Seeing the thick beam of light, Master Band's heart was dead silent. It was too late for regrets. He could not help but blame Zhang Liang. If he had not cooperated with Quicksand to enrage Dustless, he would not have ended up like this. Boom, boom, boom. The mechanical green dragon was struck head-on, and the sky within a radius of dozens of miles trembled violently. A huge crater appeared in the sky, and the energy ripples that spread out destroyed the surrounding mountains, leveling them to the ground. The energy ripples that spread out in all directions set off an unprecedented storm that swept across the vast sky. Everything that came into contact with it suffered a devastating blow. It seems that I used too much force. Looking at the crater in the sky that was nearly 10 kilometers long had been blasted into a black hole by Dustless's void flash. The blue sky had an abyss that could never be repaired. Everyone from the school of Inyang looked at Dustless in horror. Their faces were blank and dazed. Then, they looked at the shocking crack in the sky. It was obviously a natural disaster. Could a human do such a thing? Wasn't this too strange? What are you all looking at? Hurry up and deal with those mechanical white tigers. Seeing everyone staring at him in a daze, Dustless scolded loudly. There were no flowers on his face, so what was there to look at? If they had the time to be in a daze, they might as well take this opportunity to destroy the last of the school of Mo's mechanical beasts. After this battle, the school of Mo will only exist in name. Looking at Dustless, Yueshin's lips trembled as she spoke. She thought to herself, luckily, the school of Inyang didn't stand against this guy back then. Otherwise, thinking about what would happen to the school of Mo, Yueshin couldn't help but tremble. Roar, 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 roar. From the depths of the valley, the hysterical roars of the mechanical white tigers could be heard. Looking over, the valley where the Qin army and the mechanical beasts were fighting had become a dead end. The corpses of the Golden Fire cavalry were everywhere, forming mountains and flowing rivers of blood. It's just as I thought. These good-for-nothings might be able to take down a city, but against the mechanical beasts, they will only die. None of the mechanical beasts of the school of Mo were killed. In just 10 minutes, around 700 to 800 Qin soldiers were slaughtered. Corpses and blood were everywhere, and the air was filled with the smell of blood. Roar, 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 roar. Noticing the appearance of Dustless and the others, more than 20 mechanical white tigers suddenly swooped down, and their bloody fangs were opened to the extreme. These guys are really greedy. It's already a great victory to wipe out 700 to 800 Qin soldiers, but they still want to destroy us as well. Just like before, Dustless raised his right hand again and formed a handprint. Immortal art, Ming Sheng Gate. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Countless red logs fell from the sky. They were so fast that there was no way to escape. The mechanical white tigers were annihilated in an instant, and the mighty and domineering white tigers became scrap metal that no one cared about. Other than Tian Ming, there seems to be Big Hammer and Robber Ji left in the school of Mo. Muttering, Dustless and the others continued to move forward. Duanmu Rong and the Snow Lady were no longer part of the school of Mo, otherwise they wouldn't have been locked up. Stop! At this moment, a crisp and unfriendly voice stopped Dustless. Shifting his gaze, an unexpected face invaded Dustless's eyes. Are you the last reinforcement, Qi Lian? But what's the use of you? Are you here to beg for mercy? Chapter 1949. Surrender? Qi Lian sneered and said, I'm sorry, Dustless. I don't intend to surrender yet. That means you intend to fight? TSK, TSK. Humans are such mysterious creatures. They know they're digging their own graves, but they don't give up. Apart from being a little stupid, what's so special about them? Wu Qin stared at Qi Lian calmly. His lips were squirming. When he was about to open his mouth again, Qi Lian suddenly waved his hand toward the jungle. Come, Bring little sister Snow Lady out for me. Qi Lian smiled very calmly with a smug smile on his face. Thud, thud, thud. Suddenly, a series of messy footsteps sounded from the forest. Then, the Snow Lady, who was tied up, came into view. You intend to threaten me? Dustless warned with a cold look in his eyes. Perhaps if you kneel down and beg me, I might let you go. However, you chose another extreme method. That's too contradictory. Qi Lian smiled, even more happily. He blinked and said, Snow Lady is from the Mo family. What does that have to do with you? If I remember correctly, you should be from the school of Enyang. You're their leader. Snow Lady opened her mouth. Her expression was a little awkward, as if she found it hard to speak. Finally, she lowered her head. Where's Rong? Dustless raised his eyebrows when he didn't see Duanmu Rong. His main goal was Duanmu Rong and Snow Lady. Destroying the Mo family was just a matter of convenience. Qi Lian didn't mince his words. Snow Lady is enough to keep her as a hostage. As for Duanmu Rong, she's a good trump card. Such a despicable plan. It was Wei Zhuang who came up with it, right? He's always been unscrupulous, the moon goddess said. Despicable? Unscrupulous? Qi Lian laughed disapprovingly and mocked. We're despicable, perhaps. However, what right does your school of Enyang have to call others despicable? Let's stop chatting. Dustless was too lazy to talk nonsense with Qi Lian. He said to himself, since Wei Zhuang took Rong to threaten me, then Dustless stared at Qi Lian with an oppressive gaze. His body disappeared in an instant and reappeared in front of Qi Lian in a flash. Then I can only capture you alive to threaten Wei Zhuang. So fast, Qi Lian's pupils suddenly froze. Seeing Dustless suddenly descend like lightning, he hurriedly reached for the thin and soft long sword at his waist, but it was already too late. Cough, cough, cough. Crimson Viper helplessly discovered that her neck had been tightly grasped by Dustless. She was coughing incessantly, not to mention drawing her sword to attack. Even breathing was extremely difficult for her. Let go of me. Are you going to watch as the Snow Maidens get killed? Crimson Viper struggled violently. Her slender legs were almost completely exposed to Dustless's eyes. Due to her violent struggle, the places deep inside her thighs that should not be seen were vaguely visible. Is that so? A wisp of a ridiculing smile flashed on Wu Chen's face when he heard this, and then he pointed at the direction Snow Maiden had been captured and teased. Young Miss Qi Lian, please take a closer look. Remember, open your eyes wide this time. Do. Anger flashed across Qi Lian's pretty face when Dustless looked at her with a mocking gaze. That contemptuous gaze was filled with mockery and ridicule, as if he was looking at a plaything. Don't worry about me. Kill the Snow Maidens for me. The infuriated Qi Lian waved her hand and ordered furiously. Her imposing manner showed that she wanted to perish together with Dustless and head to the netherworld together. However, the tragic thing was that after a few seconds of giving the order, no one responded to Qi Lian. Damn it! Seeing this, Qi Lian abruptly turned her head around, only to be stunned to discover that the few Mo clan disciples who had followed her here had all fallen to the ground at some unknown time, their eyes rolling up into the back of their heads. When did this start? Qi Lian's eyes widened in disbelief. She did not even feel the slightest movement. When did it start? Looking at Qi Lian with pity, Dustless smiled and said, There is no need to answer this question. Didn't it already start when you saw me? With a sinister glow in his eyes, Dustless grabbed Qi Lian's shin and warned her fiercely. Tell me, where did the Mahis disciples and that brat Wei Zhuang go? In your dreams. Hearing this, Qi Lian did not even look at Dustless. She simply turned her head away and did not even bother to look at Dustless. Yo, you have a tough temper. I like women like this. Conquering them gives me a sense of accomplishment. Dustless smiled calmly and said to the moon goddess and the others behind him with a sinister look, You guys back off first. I want to have a good talk with Miss Qi Lian. The people from the school of Enyang looked at each other and speechlessly looked at Dustless. Even with the temperament of the moon goddess and concubine Yin, they were embarrassed and blushed slightly. Naturally, They knew what Dustless was talking about. Rascal. Young Master Ming and Great Master Ming snorted in dissatisfaction. However, they did as they were told and took the initiative to leave Dustless and Qi Lian, giving them the home ground. Don't mess around. Qi Lian's pretty face darkened. If she still did not know what Dustless meant, she would have lived for decades in vain. I like to mess around, especially with people like you who like to resist me. Dustless started to undress on purpose, revealing his muscular body. Stop it. I will tell you where they are. Qi Lian immediately panicked when she saw this. She still had Wei Zhuang in her heart. It didn't matter if she was killed, but if she was captured alive by Wu Chun and her body was sullied, it would be more painful than killing her. Chapter 1950. Hee. Dustless's eyes couldn't help but darken when he heard Qi Lian admitting defeat. He put on his shirt again and said uninterestedly, "Seriously, I'm not used to you being so obedient all of a sudden. I originally want to play some interesting games with you. All right, let's cut the crap." Miss Qi Lian confessed. Looking at Qi Lian's pretty face that was filled with unwillingness, Dustless felt rather comfortable in his heart. He was indeed scaring Qi Lian, but it was undeniable that sometimes the most despicable method was the most useful. They went to the farmer's home. After pondering for a while, Qi Lian gave an answer that made Dustless frown. She continued, "I only know this much. If you don't believe me, you can kill me." Farmer's home? There are many people in the farmer's home. Lai Mountain clan, Qiyu clan, Gongong clan. There are a total of 6 clans. Don't you have more detailed information? Dustless was very dissatisfied with Qi Lian's answer. Let me repeat myself. I only know this much, little brother Dustless. Qi Lian shrugged and said calmly, "If you continue to threaten me with the despicable means just now, I will bite my tongue and commit suicide. Oomph. You can only die if I let you. If I let you live, you have to live." After looking at Qi Lian coldly, Dustless looked at young Master Ming. That subtle look was clearly hinting for young Master Ming to capture Qi Lian as a hostage. Wei Zhuang could capture Duanmu Rong as a hostage. Dustless could also capture Qi Lian as a hostage and give her a taste of her own medicine. Also, watch your tone. Don't call me little brother. I may be young, but your ancestors had to call me Grandpa Dustless when they saw me. After looking at Qi Lian coldly, Dustless left in a huff. Huffed. After Dustless left, Moon Goddess and the rest couldn't help but laugh. Dustless's "call me Grandpa Dustless" was too funny. You bastard. However, as the person involved, Qi Lian was so angry that her lungs were about to explode. Her delicate face turned red and frosty. Unfortunately, she was already tied up by Xiao Ximing. Otherwise, she wouldn't mind starting a life-and-death battle with Dustless. Little guy, if I can't even deal with you, then I've lived for so long in vain. Dustless muttered to himself as he leisurely glanced at Qi Lian's ashen face. Then, he slowly walked toward the Snow Lady with a faint smile on his face. There was a rare trace of gentleness on his face. Snow Lady. Unfortunately, before Dustless could finish his sentence, the Snow Lady walked towards the isolated carriage with a look of hatred on her face. One of the young men with a lifeless aura attracted the Snow Lady's attention. "People from the MO family? Do you need something from me?" Looking at the approaching Snow Lady, the pale-faced young man raised his head in confusion. The Snow Lady's murderous look made it seem like she had a blood feud with him. "Xing Hun, I want to avenge little Gao. How dare you throw him into the sea to feed the fish?" Towards the end, the Snow Lady's eyes were already filled with tears. "Nonsense, little Gao. I don't even know him." Xing Hun snorted coldly and didn't look at the Snow Lady anymore. Is there something wrong with this woman? He didn't even know little Gao. "Xing Hun, you killed my husband. I want to avenge him." At the same time, concubine Yin walked over quickly with a cold look on her face. Without exception, the Snow Lady and concubine Yan's eyes were filled with hostility. "Are the two of you crazy women sick? Who killed your husband? Get to the bottom of this." Veins popped out on Xing Hun's forehead. He felt as if he had been shot while lying down. Xing Hun knew concubine Yan's husband, Yin Dan. As for the little Gao that the Snow Lady mentioned, after thinking about it carefully, the person of the opposite sex that she was closest to was undoubtedly Gao Jianli. Most importantly, I didn't do anything. How can you bully me like this? Don't slander me. Although I can't wait to kill Yin Dan and Gao Jianli, I didn't kill them at all, Xing Hun retorted with a red face. What a joke. He couldn't bear such a huge trap, especially when concubine Yin and the Snow Lady were gnashing their teeth and glaring at him with hatred. Xing Hun's rationality told him that he couldn't admit it even if he was beaten to death. Xing Hun, you bastard. How dare you deny killing people? At this moment, Dustless, who was afraid of being exposed, interrupted sternly with a righteous expression. I saw you throw little Gao into the sea to feed the fish with my own eyes. I saw you kill the Mo family's Yin Dan with my own eyes. How dare you deny it? You deserve a beating. Slap, slap, slap. Dustless took advantage of Xing Hun's stunned state and gave him 2 big slaps. You. Xing Hun was enraged. He glared at Dustless with reddened eyes. He realized sadly that he couldn't even speak properly. His mouth was filled with the pungent smell of blood, and he had even lost a few teeth. I'll take your silence as a yes. There's nothing more to say. Concubine Yin and the Snow Lady, send him on his way. This brat is so deranged. He deserves such a fate. Uffed. Xing Hun's mouth twitched when he heard that. He spat out a mouthful of blood and trembled with anger. This damned bastard. He must have killed Yin Dan and Gao Jianli and purposely framed me for this groundless crime. Xing Hun wanted to cry, but had no tears. Dustless had purposely slapped him until his mouth was crooked. He couldn't speak and could only scream in his heart. Really, the Snow Lady and concubine Yin were overjoyed. They looked at Dustless with gratitude. Do it. Xing Hun is a despicable person. He's a disgrace to the Yin family. Dustless waved his hand and turned his back to Xing Hun, indicating that the 2 women could attack. Xing Hun, you can die in peace. I'll spend a lot of money to hire someone to send you to hell secretly. Dustless prayed silently. He could only let Xing Hun take the blame for him. Chapter 1951. Bastard. Looking at the approaching duo, Xing Hun began to struggle with all his might. However, he was covered in chains that were thicker than his arms and legs. His resistance was futile. Swish, 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 swish. Xing Hun's body bled profusely after receiving a fatal attack. His skin and flesh were clearly torn apart. Even his bones could be seen clearly. You're still not dead? Realizing that Xing Hun was still gasping for air, Dustless had no choice but to be the executioner. His eyes were filled with coldness. In this world, you're the only one who can enjoy this honor. Xing Hun, Tsukuyami, Dustless activated his eye power. Then, the world in front of Xing Hun turned upside down. He had arrived in an unfamiliar world where he was the only protagonist. No matter what, he had taken the blame for Wuchen once. It was rare for Wuchen to be so kind and give Xing Hun a euthanasia. It was barely right for this kid. Wuchen hoped that Xing Hun could rest in peace in the netherworld. Deep in the wild mountains, the environment was so quiet that it was like a pool of stagnant water. Bright and dazzling gazes occasionally shone in some particularly hidden places. If one looked over, they would see the disciples of the School of Agriculture who were tense and on guard everywhere. Deep in the mountains, in a small wooden house that looked quite old, there was a disgusted voice. Who allowed you to trespass into the farmer clan's territory? Inside the wooden house, Chi Yu Hall Master Tian, who crossed his arms in front of him. His eyes were filled with arrogance. A majestic aura gathered around him. He looked like he would start a fight at any moment. This is the farmer clan. You are not welcome here. Gong Hall Master Tian Zhong also joined in the commotion. He stared at the few people in front of him and did not hide his hostility at all. The remaining members of the Mo family and the remnants of the Quicksand Army. The alliance between the two is just a defeated army. The figures standing in front of Tian Hu and Tian Zhong were Wei Zhuang and the others who had luckily escaped from the Mo family stronghold, as well as Ganya, Tianming, Xiaoyu, and their retainers. Gentlemen, we are all members of the Anti-Qin Alliance. Why do we have to separate you and me? We have a common enemy. Zhang Liang calmly stepped forward to mediate. Although he concealed it very well, his turbid eyes still revealed fatigue and haggard. Both his mind and body had been ravaged by dustless. Who could remain unscathed? What a joke. Just because we share the same standpoint, does our farmer's clan have to take you in? Do I have to help you guys as a matter of course? Stop dreaming. There's no such thing as a free lunch in this world. If you want us to take you in, we can do that, but you have to pay a price. Tian, who didn't give Zhang Liang any face. Even blood brothers had to settle accounts clearly. Moreover, it was very risky to take in this group of survivors. Of course, since we're staying overnight at a farmer's house, we have to pay for the lodging. Everyone, don't worry. Perhaps after tomorrow, Dustless will disappear from this world. Zhang Liang stood with his hands clasped behind his back. With a mysterious smile, he was extremely cunning. The next morning, the sun shone brightly through the small cracks on the window and shone on the thick blanket. With the faint light, one could vaguely see the white toes. Young Master Ming, don't put your legs on my stomach. Great Master Ming, don't touch me with your hands. Dustless's dissatisfied voice came from the warm blanket. Last night, the three of them huddled together naked. Until now, Dustless was still in a daze. There was a saying that the colder a woman was, the harder it was to satisfy her ambitions in certain aspects. Young Master Ming and Great Master Ming were such women. They were used to keeping people at arm's length. Now that they were released, they were like hungry tigers that wanted to devour Dustless. But the strong and sturdy Dustless finally withstood it, completely blocking the two of them, taking turns to tire him out. Even though the three of them slept in each other's arms, they didn't feel embarrassed or awkward. Different times also determined that everyone's value in life was different. Needless to say, Wu Chen's skin was unbelievably thick. He was used to it. Although young Master Ming and Great Master Ming were extremely resistant at first, they couldn't stand Dustless's sugar-coated bullets and finally gave in. Knock, knock. At the same time, there was an anxious knock on the door. Dustless, get up quickly. Something bad has happened. Zhao Gao and Li Si are here with their troops. Concubine Yan's voice was filled with worry. They have surrounded the entire Mirage and are clamoring to capture the wanted criminal Dustless. My identity has been exposed. Upon hearing this, Dustless lowered his head and pondered for a moment. Then, he put on his clothes in an orderly manner. Young Master Ming and Great Master Ming, on the other hand, quickly put on their clothes with anxious expressions. Zhao Gao must have known your true identity and has sufficient evidence. Otherwise, he wouldn't have surrounded the Mirage with his troops. This is the sacred place for alchemy appointed by Ying Zheng. Great Master Ming was so flustered that he even put on his clothes inside out. Dustless couldn't help but laugh. Your lazy attitude will get you into trouble sooner or later. Young Master Ming was also dissatisfied with Dustless. She moved her body slightly and almost fell down. It was all because of Dustless's ridiculous behavior last night. He kept tormenting her and Great Master Ming. Don't be afraid. Calm down. Don't forget that the Mirage is now the territory of the school of Yinyang. Dustless said with great confidence when he saw the two women's embarrassment. What's there to be afraid of? So what if Zhao Gao and Li Si find out? If it doesn't work, we can just overthrow the Qin dynasty. No matter when, where, and what kind of emergency happens, we are invincible. Chapter 1952. As for why Zhao Gao and Li Si suddenly knew his identity, it was obvious that someone from the Mo family had leaked the news through a secret channel. That was how Zhao Gao and Li Si found out that Zichen was Dustless. That was why these two hungry wolves came uninvited. Overthrow the Qin kingdom. Young Master Ming and Great Master Ming looked at each other and nodded. If things really developed to this stage, it would not be difficult to destroy the Qin kingdom. The Qin kingdom was a giant, but the school of Yinyang was not to be trifled with. Let's go. Let's see if Zhao Gao and Li Si can really do anything. Holding young Master Ming and Great Master Ming's hands, Dustless swaggered out of the bedroom. His carefree and relaxed look made it seem as if Zhao Gao and Li Si were caught, and Dustless was the executioner. This guy, Concubine Yin, secretly had a headache. Looking at the groups of Qin soldiers through the window, she felt uneasy. I can only bite the bullet and do it. After a while, the indecisiveness in Concubine Yan's eyes disappeared. Since things had developed to this stage, she could only follow Dustless's footsteps. It's been an hour. That guy still dares to wait for us. How dare he? In the brightly lit hall, Zhao Gao noticed that Dustless was not coming. His patience was gradually wearing out. He and Li Si came to look for trouble early in the morning, but Dustless did not come. Obviously, he did it on purpose. We're not waiting anymore. Send someone to find Dustless immediately. Li Si's face was also hazy. He was the dignified prime minister, and Wu Chun was merely a criminal. He actually made him wait for a full hour. This was simply a crime deserving of 10,000 deaths. Search? Who gave you the confidence to do whatever you want? At this moment, a burst of cold air swept over everyone. Everyone stopped in their tracks and looked towards the source of the wind and waves. Zichen. After seeing who it was, Li Si questioned, Zichen, someone said that your real identity is that of the wanted criminal Dustless, and all the evidence has been sent over. What else do you have to say? Zhao Gao also looked unfriendly. At the same time, he made a subtle gesture to the slave of the 6 swords, which meant that if Dustless used force, he would immediately subdue him. Ha ha! Is that so? Lord Li's long-cherished wish has been fulfilled. This is truly worthy of celebration. However, who would have thought that Wu Chun only laughed out in an uncharacteristic manner, followed by a sudden sentence that made Li Si, Zhao Gao, and the others so shocked that they were fried on the inside and tender on the outside. That's right, I'm at rebellious Dustless. What can you do to me? Zhao Gao, Li Si, and the 6 sword slaves all stared blankly at Wu Chun, who had an arrogant look on his face. Wu Chen's words were like a level, 10 storm that swept past everyone's ears in an instant. His unruly face was obviously saying, I'm a rebellious thief. What can you do to me? Bastard, how dare a rebellious thief be so arrogant? Zhao Gao, take it down. Li Si was the first to react. His face was as dark as the lid of a pot. Dustless revealed his real identity without any hesitation, which was actually looking down on him and Zhao Gao. You 6, hurry up and capture Wu Chun. I don't care if he's dead or alive. With a wave of his hand, Zhao Gao immediately ordered the 6 sword slaves to attack. Swish! Swish! Do it! Without even looking at the 6 sword slaves, Dustless coldly said, Don't leave them alive. Just kill them all. They're as annoying as flies. Great Master Ming, young Master Ming, Moon Goddess, and Concubine Yin didn't waste any time. They all used their techniques and spells to fight the 6 sword slaves who were attacking them from the front. Swish! 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 The 6 sword slaves were good at fighting as a team, but it was still difficult for them to defeat the school of Yin Yang one-on-one. In less than a minute after the battle started, the 6 sword slaves were already losing. This is bad. Seeing this, Li Si and Zhao Gao's expressions changed drastically. A large number of Qin state soldiers were still outside the Mirage, and they didn't have time to support them. Of course, the reason for all this was because Wu Chun didn't play by the rules. If it were other people, they would rather be beaten to death than admit that they were traitors. But who would have thought that Wu Chen's way of doing things would be so unexpected? He simply admitted his identity. Li Si and Zhao Gao were both caught off guard. They did not expect that Wu Chun would directly shed all pretenses. Bang! A black shadow was hit by a powerful attack and flew out, smashing the wooden door into pieces. Trash! When Zhao Gao saw Luanshan in a sorry state, he scolded him in a bad mood. Not to mention the unfathomable Wu Chun, even the 4 top experts of the Yin Yang school would have a hard time dealing with him. If Wu Chun was added into the mix, Zhao Gao felt a chill down his spine. He suddenly realized that he was too reckless. He didn't think carefully before challenging Dustless. He was facing the risk of being annihilated by this guy. This useless, good-for-nothing. Where did your confidence go? Trash. Staring fixedly at Zhao Gao, whose eyes flickered indeterminately, Li Si also understood that he had been tricked by this fellow. Before leaving, Zhao Gao had solemnly guaranteed that he would definitely be able to capture Wuchun. But according to the current situation, the fact that the few of them were not killed by Wuchun was already considered a blessing from the heavens. Li Si was so nervous that he was sweating. After all, he was the weakest in this group. If Dustless wanted to kill him, Li Si would definitely be the first one to suffer. Chapter 1953. Your Excellency, you're in a very bad situation. Seeing Li Si sweating profusely and smelling of sweat, Dustless teased. Tisk, you haven't bathed for hundreds of years. Your body smells so bad. I'm afraid no one will eat you if you're thrown into the sea to feed the fish. You bastard, don't be too complacent. Even if you kill us, you won't have a good ending. All the land in the world belongs to the king, and all the people in the land are the king's subjects. If you kill me, can you still stand in this world? Li Si looked straight into Wu Chen's eyes without showing any signs of weakness. He looked completely fearless, but anyone could tell that in reality, Li Si did not have enough confidence. After all, Li Si was also immortal. It was normal for him to be afraid of death. The higher he stood, the more respected he was. He was far more afraid of death than ordinary people. It was not easy for him to climb to his current position. If he died before he could enjoy it, who could tolerate it? Dustless smiled calmly at Li Si's threat and said lightly, Your Excellency, you've been wrong about one thing from the beginning to the end. First of all, the future is not something you can control. You only need to know that you're going to hell soon. Other trivial things can be discussed later. Swish, swish, swish. After saying that, Dustless flashed and came in front of Li Si. A pair of big hands went straight for Li Si's head. By the way, suddenly thinking of something, Dustless asked, By the way, where is my Yellowstone heavenly book? I've lent it to you too for so long. It's time to return it to me, right? Hearing that, Li Si's face was gloomy. He stared at Dustless and asked in a deep voice, Why are you sure that the Yellowstone heavenly book is in my hands? It may have been taken by Zhao Gao. Bastard. Zhao Gao cursed Li Si's shamelessness in his heart. At this time, the fire was about to burn his ass, but Li Si still wanted to hurt each other. Zhao Gao. Glancing at Zhao Gao, whose face was as black as a pot, Dustless sneered, He's just a lackey. Even if he had that kind of thing, he would give it to his master. Pucci. Seeing that Li Si was so disobedient, Dustless simply pierced his chest. Li Si let out a tormented scream. His face instantly turned as pale as a sheet of paper, and his body swayed back and forth as if he would fall at any moment. Minister Gua, are you still not going to call him out? Next time, it might be your head. Dustless threatened in a calm tone, but the coldness in his voice made Li Si's heart turn cold. I understand. Looking at Dustless with fear in his eyes, Li Si finally chose to compromise. He took out a delicately decorated box and threw it to Dustless unwillingly. Sigh. After spending so much effort, in the end, this fellow still benefited from it. Li Si lamented in his heart. For the Yellowstone heavenly book, he and Zhao Gao had even plotted to kill Sun Zi. Before they could even warm up the Yellowstone heavenly book, it was taken away by Dustless. Snatch my things? With just the two of you? Looking straight at Li Si's dim eyes, Dustless could vaguely see through his thoughts. What's mine will always be mine. Try to snatch, it is just asking for humiliation. After retracting the Yellowstone heavenly book, Dustless was just about to raise his blade and end Li Si's life when an unexpected voice suddenly came out of nowhere. Master Zichen. No, Master Dustless, on account of me. Can you let Li Xianghua off this time? An extremely refined voice came from outside the hall. Dustless turned his head to look, and saw an anxious Fu Su and Xiao Meng behind him. Li Si and Zhao Gao wanted to kill me. If I still let the two of them live, wouldn't this be raising a tiger and inviting calamity? Wu Chun said with a frown. The implication of his words was to reject Fu Su's conditions. Dustless, how dare you? Seeing this, Zhao Gao's voice was stern as he angrily rebuked. You actually dare to speak to young master like that? Do you believe you're courting death? Hearing this, Dustless's eyes shot out a scarlet light, and his body overflowed with a resplendent golden light. In an instant, he appeared in front of Zhao Gao and slapped him twice without hesitation. Pa pa pa. Two blood-red handprints immediately appeared on Zhao Gao's face. You dare to hit me? Zhao Gao was furious. He covered his bleeding mouth and clenched his fists so tightly that creaking sounds could be heard. Hit you? So what if I hit you? I'm going to kill you later. Dustless pointed his sword at Zhao Gao's throat and coldly snorted. In this world, those who want to order me around can go see a ghost. This fellow is quite bold. He actually dares to say such words in front of Fu Su. Is the Yin-Yang school also going to step on the path of rebelling against the Qin kingdom? Xiao Meng's calm eyes flashed with a faint ripple. To dare say such words in front of Dustless, it was enough to see that Dustless did not put the Qin kingdom in his eyes. Master Dustless, let's talk things over. Fu Su's face flashed with displeasure, but he still forced a smile and persuaded. We're all on the same side. There might be some misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? Zhao Gao was instantly unhappy when he heard this. He quickly reported to Fu Su, Young master, you don't know. This Zichen's true identity is a wanted criminal of the Qin kingdom. He was previously with the Mo family's traitor, Dustless. As his voice fell, Zhao Gao looked at Dustless with hatred, hoping that Fu Su would give the order to capture Dustless. But as the saying goes, dreams are beautiful, but the real world is often cruel. Shut up. Who knew that Fu Su did not blame Dustless? Instead, he quickly walked over and imitated Dustless and gave Zhao Gao a slap. Chapter 1954. Young master, you... Zhao Gao shuddered. Forget about Wu Chun giving him a slap. Even Fu Su did the same. Where was Zhao Gao's face? His heart was filled with hatred towards the two of them. Damn you, I will tear you into pieces and feed your corpses to the dogs. Seeing the cold face of Fu Su, Zhao Gao swore in his heart that if he had the chance in the future, he would make Fu Su and Dustless die a horrible death. These two damn things made him lose face and become a laughingstock. They were unforgivable. Remember, Master Dustless is not a traitor. Fu Su warned coldly. Then, he looked at Li Si and explained, Li Si, you are the Prime Minister. How can you not differentiate right from wrong? Young master, this... Li Si was speechless. Was he the one who couldn't differentiate right from wrong? Zichan was undoubtedly Dustless. Li Si had obtained clear evidence. But since Fu Su said so, Li Si could only lower his head and admit defeat. If he argued with Fu Su, wouldn't he just be asking for humiliation? After all, Fu Su was the successor of the empire and had a respected status. Zhao Gao was a living example. He had to endure being slapped. Do you have something that you can't say? Noticing Li Si's hesitation, Fu Su was even more dissatisfied. He frowned and said, Speak your mind. What are these guys trying to do? Seeing the situation, Dustless was in a dilemma. After Fu Su's intervention, everything seemed to have gone wrong. Originally, Dustless thought that Fu Su was here to help Li Si and Zhao Gao, but the result was the opposite. Hearing this, Li Si opened his mouth and glanced at Zhao Gao. He seemed to have made some kind of decision, and the hesitation in his eyes instantly disappeared. Damn Li Si. Seeing this, Zhao Gao's heart skipped a beat. Seeing the faint smile on Li Si's face, he became even more uneasy. Young master, this matter. Looking coldly at Zhao Gao, Li Si gritted his teeth and said, It was Zhao Gao's carelessness. It has nothing to do with me. Ka ka ka. Hearing this, Zhao Gao, who could not take the blow, gritted his teeth. How can Li Si be so shameless? Everyone says that politicians turn their backs on people. The ancients really didn't lie to me, Zhao Gao wailed in his heart. At this moment, he hated Li Si to the core. When they first found out that Zi Chun was dustless, out of caution, Zhao Gao suggested that they investigate in secret for a period of time. However, Li Si was impatient and insisted on finding trouble with dustless, which led to this current situation. Sadly, Li Si now pushed all the blame to Zhao Gao. Li Si naturally noticed Zhao Gao's abnormal behavior. Seeing his appearance of gnashing his teeth, Li Si snorted unreservedly and secretly laughed in his heart. I can't take care of Wu Chun, but could it be that I can't even take care of a slave like you? Noticing Li Si's warning gaze, Zhao Gao smiled awkwardly and acted as if nothing had happened. He didn't return to normal, but his heart was bleeding. The ancient society was like this. There was a strict hierarchy, and one level would crush the other. Even if there were thousands of dissatisfaction, Zhao Gao could only admit that he was unlucky. Rice bucket, what's the use of having you? Hearing this, Fu Su glared at Zhao Gao and scolded, Men, take Zhao Gao away and beat him 20 times. Yes, young master. The soldiers brought by Fu Su took Zhao Gao away without hesitation. Even if this guy's strength was shocking, Zhao Gao didn't dare to resist. One was the crown prince of the empire, the future successor, and he, Zhao Gao, was just a slave. The two of them belonged to completely different dimensions. Master Dustless, everything in the past was a misunderstanding. Let the past be the past. Fu Su looked at Dustless with a smile. In reality, he knew that Dustless was a wanted criminal, but as the saying goes, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Fu Su naturally understood this. Dustless was standing against the anti-Qin alliance, and he was also the leader of the school of Yinyang. That meant that he was a friend of the Qin Empire. Fu Su also understood that if he kicked the school of Yinyang out of the Qin Empire's camp, it would be disadvantageous to his side. Sacrificing Zhao Gao was nothing. Everyone knew that he had to choose the lesser of two evils. Then my arrest warrant, Master, don't worry. Before coming, I'd already sent people to remove it. You are free now. Fu Su had a sincere smile. Then he asked, What does Master think of the school of family? Dustless was silent for a moment and then said coldly, They are ambitious and should be punished. Master, you are right. Hearing this, the rock on Fu Su's chest disappeared. The reason why he sacrificed Zhao Gao for Dustless was because he felt that Dustless was someone worth cooperating with. There was no conflict of interest between them. Everyone had the same goal. That was why they could jump into the same trench to face the enemy together. Master Xiaoming, what do you think? Fu Su looked at Xiaoming, who was aloof from the world, but the latter didn't appreciate it. She just glanced at Fu Su, who had a sincere expression and didn't show any emotion. In Xiaoming's eyes, young Master Fu Su was no different from an ordinary person. I have no interest in the grudges between the school of family and the Qin Empire, as well as the Mo family. But, she paused and then said coldly, My goal is only Xiao Yaozi. Xiao Yaozi? Dustless frowned and stared at the sword in Xiaoming's hand. This sword belonged to Xiao Yaozi. For Xiaoming to have it meant that she had killed Xiao Yaozi. But from her tone, Xiao Yaozi didn't seem to be dead. Chapter 1955. Anyway, the matter of Taoism has nothing to do with me. You can live or die as you wish. On second thought, Dustless put on a bored look as if it had nothing to do with him. The conflict between Taoism, Heaven Sect, and Human Sect had nothing to do with him. Dustless gathered everyone together to create a Steel Alliance. Dustless did not care. It was good to share information. The School of Farmer had too many disciples. Dustless still did not know where the base of the School of Farmer was. The Qin army was powerful and would know the whereabouts of the School of Farmer. Ouch! At the same time, Zhao Gao walked in with a bitter face. Looking at his painful appearance, it was obvious that he was badly injured. 20 beatings were enough to kill a normal person easily. But to some extent, Fu Su had deliberately let him go. According to the laws of Qin, Zhao Gao was already sentenced to death. Among the 6 states, Qin had the strictest laws. Damn Li Si. Seeing Li Si's cold face as if everything had nothing to do with him, Zhao Gao wanted to eat his flesh and drink his blood. At the same time, his desire for power grew deeper. Because Zhao Gao's status was not as high as Li Si, he was bullied by Li Si. One was the prime minister, the other was just a magistrate. How could they be compared? Therefore, after Li Si's interference, Zhao Gao valued power more. When Wu Chun saw Zhao Gao's miserable face, he smiled but didn't say anything. He walked lazily to the front of the window and looked at the distant scenery in boredom. Something is wrong. After a while, Dustless raised his eyebrows. He suddenly realized that the security of the entire Mulberry Sea city was much tighter than before. A while ago, it was just the ordinary Qin cavalry. Why are they all changed to the Golden Fire cavalry today? And this formation doesn't seem right. Dustless's eyes revealed a look of contemplation as he muttered to himself, "Such a grand display? Is Ing Zheng, that old man, coming? If it is true, I am really looking forward to it." Everyone was curious and fearful of the legendary emperor. Even Dustless was curious about this legendary emperor. After all, he was the first emperor in history. Speaking of which, I have something important to inform all of you. Fu Su suddenly spoke. After looking around and seeing that there were no outsiders, he cautiously said, "Not long after, Imperial Father will patrol the Mulberry Sea. I hope that everyone can work together to protect the peace of the Mulberry Sea." Fu Su's words stirred up thousands of ripples. Even Xiao Meng, who did not care about anything, turned her head slightly. The first emperor's tour to the east, Xiao Meng muttered softly. She was somewhat surprised, but she quickly regained her calm and turned a deaf ear to it as if nothing had happened. "It's just as I guessed." Dustless squinted his eyes and said bluntly, "If the remnants of the Mo family and Quicksand find out, and if the farmer party finds out, it'll be a disaster." "That's right. So, I hope that everyone will do their best to protect Imperial Father's safety." Fu Su will be eternally grateful. Immediately after, under Wu Chen's shocked gaze, Fu Su actually cupped his hands towards him, and he looked very sincere. How can this guy? Li Si's eyes burned with jealousy. He saw Fu Su's actions and was jealous of him. What was Fu Su's status? He was the future successor of the empire. Although Dustless was the head of the school of Yin Yang, he was just a Jianghu practitioner. He did not have the status of a noble, nor was he a court official. He was just a powerful commoner. But Fu Su's actions just now were something that even Li Si had never received, let alone others. "I'll do my best." Dustless nodded. After living in this world for so long, he naturally knew what Fu Su's actions meant. To put it simply, it could be summed up in one word: beg. That's right, beg. To beg Dustless for help. One had to admit that Fu Su had indeed lowered himself. This kid is indeed not bad. To be honest, Dustless had a good impression of Fu Su. As the son of Ing Zheng, he would inherit the empire in the future, but he did not put on any airs. It was indeed commendable. However, Fu Su's actions were normal. It was difficult to rely on the Qin's strength to stop the 100 schools of thought. Of course, it was not to say that the Qin was not a match for the 100 schools of thought. As the saying goes, one should not meddle in politics if one is not in position. The Qin army was not good at dealing with Jianghu people like the Mo family. For example, Meng Tian and the Golden Fire Cavalry were used to attack cities. To deal with the Mo family and the farmers, they had to rely on Jianghu practitioners like Dustless. To put it bluntly, it was using Jianghu people to counter Jianghu people. But this is a good opportunity. On the surface, he agreed to Fu Su's request. However, Dustless was laughing coldly in his heart. As long as he told the news of Emperor Qin to the Mo family, those rebels would naturally ambush Emperor Qin. "Ing Zheng, don't blame me for this. You are too suitable as bait." Dustless's eyes glowed. In the past, he had created a plan of Emperor Qin's eastern tour. However, it was a conspiracy after all. After a series of unexpected developments, It had caused the entire plan to go bankrupt. However, it was different this time. This time, it was not a fake, but the real Emperor Qin. It would definitely attract the attention of some rebels. With Ying Zheng dead, the world would be in chaos. The remnants of the Mo family, Gun Ye, and Wei Zhuang would definitely not let go of this rare opportunity. Chapter 1956. The traitors of the Mo clan only had one goal: to overthrow the Qin kingdom. What kind of plan could destroy the Qin kingdom in the shortest time possible? They would use the strategy of capturing the leader first, assassinating Ying Zheng. For example, Jing Ke's assassination of the Qin kingdom was the fastest and most effective method. Therefore, the traitors of the Mo clan would do everything in their power to assassinate the king of Qin, Ying Zheng. This was the main reason why the traitors of the Mo clan were willing to take the risk. In order to destroy the Mo clan and the known clan, we have no choice but to turn the act into reality and release the big fish, Ying Zheng. If you die, don't worry, I will support Fu Su. Glancing at Fu Su, Wu Chan made a decision in his heart. What? Are you sure that Ying Zheng is going to tour Mulberry Sea in 3 days? Everyone in the known clan stared at Zhang Liang in shock. They did not know where he had gotten this information from. How could such top-secret information be obtained so easily? That's what the information says. Zhang Liang nodded his head confidently. Then, a strange expression appeared on his face. He did not trust the source of this information. Mr. Zhang Liang, what's wrong? Everyone present was good at reading people's expressions. When Gunye saw that Zhang Liang was hesitating, he asked, "Where did this information come from?" "The school of Yinyang." Zhang Liang gave an answer that no one had expected. Hearing this, the members of the Mo clan fell silent. Even Wei Zhuang was not interested. It seemed that everyone had given up on this piece of information. The school of Yinyang, how could they believe it? They had been tricked. Dustless was the incarnation of the devil. He had been playing them for a fool. Actually, I think that the information might be true. Gunye expressed a different opinion. Ignoring the astonishment of the crowd, he explained, "The Qin soldiers stationed in Mulberry Sea City have all been replaced with the more elite Golden Fire Cavalry. This means that an important person is coming. Unless there is a special occasion, the Golden Fire Cavalry will not be deployed to guard a city." The Golden Fire Cavalry was used to attack cities. Now they were guarding the city like ordinary soldiers. It was a complete waste of talent, especially when they were fighting against the Hu. Good steel should be used on the blade, and the Golden Fire Cavalry was even more important. However, the situation this time was the opposite. It showed that it was because of Ying Zheng's winter patrol that he deployed the Golden Fire Cavalry so tightly. "Forget it, you guys are too long-winded. Hurry up and let me scout for information." Daoji impatiently interrupted the silent atmosphere. A look of regret flashed across his face. The people of the Mo family had all been sacrificed. There was no point in him continuing to live. "I'm going to." Big Iron Hammer also said without hesitation. Although his strength was average, his resolute tone made people respect him and look at him in a new light. Interesting. Even Wei Zhuang, who looked down on the two of them, gave them a sidelong glance. "I object." Zhang Liang frowned. Their men had already been slaughtered by Dustless. If they went to their deaths, their anti-Qin faction would be completely wiped out. "If we don't scout for information, how can we confirm the authenticity of the information?" Daoji shrugged nonchalantly and smiled calmly. "I'm the best at lightness techniques here. Is there anyone more suitable than me to scout for information and infiltrate the mirage?" Hearing this, everyone fell silent. This was indeed the truth. If they did not scout for information, they would not be able to confirm the authenticity of the information Zhang Liang received. Moreover, there were many people who were stronger than Daoji in martial arts, but Daoji excelled in lightness techniques. "That's all we can do for now." Zhang Liang reluctantly agreed. It seemed that he had agreed to Daoji's plan. There was no other suitable choice. In the evening, the sky gradually turned cold and the night sky gradually darkened. The void was dotted with bright light. Swish, swish, swish. A black shadow passed through the endless sky. While the mirage was docked, he used his amazing lightness techniques. In an instant, he passed through the layers of eyes and ears and invaded the mirage. What golden fire cavalry! That's all there is to it. Curling his lips in contempt, Daoji went straight to search for Dustless and the others. He invaded the mirage like a ghost. That guy is so bored. It's fine if he's patrolling the east, but he has to make such a big show. It's as if he's afraid no one knows he's here. In a pavilion, looking at the night view of Shanghai from afar, even though it was already dark, there were still many golden fire cavalry patrolling. The security of the entire city had reached an unprecedented level. That's right. With such a big show, everyone knows that a big figure is coming. Yueshin quickly nodded. Then she frowned and said, "Young Master Fu Su also did not say when Yingzheng would come to Shanghai. How can we cooperate?" "Because it's a secret, Fu Su only told me. The time is in 3 days." Dustless smiled and explained, "Yingzheng came to Shanghai not only to worship heaven, but also to come to the mirage." "To the mirage? What does Yingzheng want?" Hearing that, Yueshan hesitated for a moment and then asked, "Is he coming for our school of Yinyang?" "That's true, but to be exact, he should be coming for Yunzhongjuan." Dustless smiled mysteriously, with a smile of success on his face. Why did Yingzheng suddenly visit the east? Generally speaking, he could visit the east anytime, but not now. After all, the front line was at war with the barbarians in the north. Every day, there was a large number of battle reports that needed to be checked and approved by Yingzheng. The reason he came all the way to Shanghai was that Dustless deliberately spread false news, saying that Yun Zhongjuan's elixir of immortality had been successfully concocted. That was why Yingzheng rushed to Shanghai in a hurry. Chapter 1957. Hee, looks like it's not a big deal. Dustless isn't as evil as the rumors say. He still hasn't discovered my existence. On the roof, Daoji gently lifted the tile. Yueshin, who was listening to the conversation between Dustless and Yueshin, listened attentively. "Yueshin, remember this. Yingzheng will be here in 3 days. When that time comes, you must be alert. Do not embarrass our school of Yinyang." Dustless ordered with a serious face. "I understand, Sect Master." Yueshin used a very confident tone and said, "The entire Mulberry Sea City is watertight. No one can hide from our eyes." "No one can hide from your eyes? Are you the school of Yinyang's eyes?" Daoji, who was lying on the roof, showed a contemptuous expression. He curled his lips and said, "You are just a school of Yinyang. Do you really think you are invincible? Pathetic and laughable." At the same time, Daoji heard the important news he wanted to hear. After taking a deep look at Dustless, Daoji quietly retreated. Swish, swish, swish. Daoji merged with the dark void and left quietly like a black wind. The soldiers stationed around did not notice Daoji's existence at all. They instinctively thought it was just a black wind at night. "Zizi, did that prisoner's fly finally leave?" After Daoji left, Dustless immediately put on a tired expression. "Seriously, acting is so tiring. It must have been hard on those movie actors in my previous life. If one wanted to be completely at ease, one had to use 120% of their acting skills to deceive the audience." Yes, that guy left. It seems like he went to inform the school of Mo. Yueshin looked up at the roof. Because the tiles were lifted, she could see the deep starry sky outside through the weak cracks. "Did you find out? Is there a backup?" Dustless gulped down a mouthful of herbal tea, then said coldly, "We still need Daoji to tell the news of Yingzheng to the people of the Mo clan, so that they will be fooled. He can live for now. As for that disciple of Mo clan who was protecting Daoji, make him disappear from the face of the earth." The reason Robert G was still alive and Dustless had spent so much effort to put on an act was because Robert G had value. Dustless had used his mouth to spread false information and lead the rebels to their deaths. That person is one of the commanders of the Mahis clan, Big Iron Hammer. Moon Goddess said a name that Dustless was familiar with. Dustless's eyes immediately lit up with joy. That brat Big Hammer? Then let me deal with him and extract his memories to see where these traitors have hidden wronger. It would be best if we could find the base of the peasant family and wipe them all out. Dustless's eyes shone with a murderous light, and the killing intent in his body made people flee at the mere sight of him. Only Big Hammer, Daoji, and Tianming were left in the Mais clan. The rest of them had either been subdued by Dustless or killed by him. Isn't Daoji's lightness skill unparalleled? Why is he so slow? I'm dying of anxiety. Outside the city, Big Hammer was talking to himself anxiously. After a few hours, he still hadn't found Daoji's shadow. The bad-tempered and impatient Big Hammer was cursing. I say, a ghostly voice came out of nowhere, as if it had jumped out from a crack in the void. Big Hammer was so scared that he almost jumped up. He hurriedly took a dozen steps back. Ah, is the commander of the Mahis clan so weak? Your performance is so disappointing. Sigh. A black shadow slowly walked out of the darkness. Under the dim moonlight, Big Hammer looked straight at it and saw a face that he hated the most. It's you? After seeing who it was, Big Hammer's eyes shone with hatred. Oh, you still recognize me. What an honor. He smiled politely and introduced himself. But let me introduce you first. The person who is going to take your head is me, the master of the Yin clan, Dustless. You bastard, you killed so many of my brothers. I'm going to enforce justice on behalf of the heavens. As the saying goes, when enemies meet, their eyes turn red. There was no need for others to set them off. Big Hammer, who was filled with hatred for Dustless, went berserk. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Big Hammer nimbly took off the bronze hammer on his neck and spun like a tornado. The hammer that was tied to the chain in his hand also spun crazily. Thor's hammer. The wind and waves became stronger and stronger, destroying all obstacles in the surroundings. The trees that were thicker than a person could not withstand a single blow from the Thor's hammer and collapsed. Really, no matter what, we are old acquaintances. I'm looking forward to this meeting. Is this all you're showing me? Seeing Big Hammer dancing to his heart's content, Dustless instantly lost interest. This guy's level was too low. There was nothing special about him that was worth looking at. Go to hell. Big Hammer roared, and the crazily spinning hammer suddenly smashed towards him. Dustless was not afraid of the fatal attack. He just coldly raised his right hand. Bang, bang, bang. The iron hammer, which was enough to crush a big tree, swept from the right side, setting off bursts of violent thunder. The rough surface of the hammer was even covered with bright thunder and lightning. It looked like it was going to smash Wu Chen's head. Break for me. At the moment when the hammer was about to hit his head, Dustless suddenly made an astonishing move. He directly punched out with his seemingly weak fist. Crack, crack, crack. The hammer made of bronze broke into pieces in an instant and turned into boiling iron. It was directly smashed by Dustless's fist and turned into bronze fragments on the ground. Chapter 1958. This guy broke my hammer. Seeing the bronze fragments all over the ground, Big Hammer's pupils froze. He stared at the smiling Dustless in shock, as if he was looking at a living monster. A mere human being could break a bronze hammer that weighed hundreds of pounds. Was he still human? A real monster? What's there to be surprised about, Big Hammer? Dustless walked towards Big Hammer lazily, and the latter retreated in fear. Humans could be defeated, but monsters could eat humans if they were angry. Big Hammer knew that he was no match for Dustless. At this moment, his fighting spirit was completely crushed by Dustless. You stay away from me. Looking at Dustless's smiling face, Big Hammer sighed inwardly. He was born at the wrong time, and the heavens were unfair. Since the heavens created such a terrifying monster like Dustless, why did the heavens create them? These mediocre and incompetent mortals? They were completely ridiculed and bullied by Dustless. Did I hear wrongly? You just said that you wanted to avenge the disciples of the Mo family, and now you don't want to? If you keep a distance from me, it will be even more difficult for you to take revenge. You will never be able to do it. Dustless tried to keep a calm face as he stared at Big Hammer. Seeing that he was about to break down, he deliberately said, "I forgot to tell you something. Your Mo family's great son, Yin Dan, and Gao Jianli were actually killed by me." "What?" Hearing this, Big Hammer looked as if he had been electrocuted. He was stunned, and his footsteps stopped instantly. "Don't think it's unbelievable. I killed Yin Dan purely because I didn't like that guy. As for Gao Jianli, I can only say that he was unlucky and saw something that he shouldn't have. Therefore, I could only send him to the underworld to meet Yin Dan." Dustless slowly explained the reason. His lips trembled as he continued to provoke Big Hammer. Suddenly, the ground shook with a rumbling sound. "I'll kill you, you bastard!" Big Iron Hammer's eyes were red, and he recklessly jumped towards Dustless. Because of his body's weight and strength, the whole ground shook with Big Iron Hammer's footsteps, which was quite frightening. "You want to die so quickly?" Seeing this, Dustless did not hold back. He raised his right arm, and a golden light appeared at the tip of his thumb. It rapidly compressed and penetrated with a sharpness that could penetrate all things. Since Big Iron Hammer wanted to die, Dustless naturally wouldn't be polite. "Your final struggle makes me feel bored, but it's also a way to pass the time, so I'll let you die a little faster." Lasers! The beam of light flew straight towards Big Hammer's head. It was so fast that it pierced through Big Hammer's body in the blink of an eye. Poochie! A charred and bloody hole appeared on Big Iron Hammer's head. It had been completely penetrated. Through his head, one could see the other side of the world. Even at the moment of his death, Big Hammer's eyes were still wide open, filled with a myriad of unwillingness. "Let me take a look at your memories. Where exactly did the farmer's clan hide Rome? And where exactly is their base of operations?" Dustless's right arm grabbed Big Hammer's head. His eyes had turned purple, and he began to use his eye power to extract the memories in the depths of Big Hammer's mind. Whether it was the farmer's family, the Mo family, or other remnants of evil, they were all targets that Dustless wanted to destroy. In short, those who stood on the opposite side of me had no reason to live. This was very domineering and barbaric, but the nature of every world was like this. The winner was king, and the one with the bigger fist had the final say. Buzz, buzz, buzz. In a short while, all the information Dustless wanted appeared in his mind. So that's how it is. Zhang Liang is really smart. The most dangerous place is the safest place? This arrangement really caught me off guard. They actually secretly locked Rome, in the sage, small manner. How cunning and insidious. Dustless did not find much about the farmer's family's territory. He only had a vague memory of it. As for the place where Duanmu Rong was locked up, Dustless found it very strange. It was the sage, small manner of the Confucians, who would place an important hostage right under the enemy's nose. But Zhang Liang did the exact opposite, and he even hid it from Dustless's eyes. "Zhang Liang, you stinking brat. The next time we meet, you will definitely die." With a cold snort, Dustless ignored the existence of gravity and disappeared into the dark night sky like a shadow. He went straight to the place where Duanmu Rong was locked up, the sage small manor. As for Big Hammer's corpse, that was not something Dustless could care about. He couldn't bring the corpse with him, could he? Moreover, even if Big Iron Hammer's corpse was destroyed by the cold wind, even if it was thrown under the sun, it had nothing to do with Wu Chun. In the end, he was still an enemy, nothing more. While Dustless was rushing to the sage small manor, Daoji was also rushing back to the farmer's family. He had not found any trace of Big Hammer and thought that he had come back alone. Who would have thought that he did not even see Big Hammer? Regarding this, Daoji was also deeply uneasy. After all, it had been very dangerous these past few days. Shanghai had gathered a large number of forces. Zhao Gao's net and the Qin State's Golden Fire Cavalry were all patrolling to prevent any mistakes. Even though Daoji wanted to go out and look for Big Hammer, his rationality told him that he had to stay. He told Gania, Wei Zhuang, and the others everything he had heard from Dustless. Of course, the farmers' hall masters were also present. Although they did not get along well, they all had the same goal, to deal with Ying Zhang's Qin kingdom. Chapter 1959. Although Tian Hu of the School of Agriculture did not have a good relationship with the Mo family, they both had the same enemy, the Qin Kingdom. That was why they were able to sit together and listen to Daoji's report. It was fine if they did not get along, but their positions and interests were the same. The news of Ying Zhang's Eastern tour 3 days later is undoubtedly true. It was said by Wuchen and Yueshin themselves. I heard it clearly at that time. Daoji had a look of certainty on his face as he spoke energetically. Phew! Hearing this, yeah, Wei Zhuang, Xiao Yu, and the others all took a deep breath. Even Wei Zhuang, who usually spoke little and liked to be quiet, had eyes that were filled with a dazzling luster at this moment. It was not just the others. Even Wei Zhuang himself was tempted. In the past, Jing Ku failed to assassinate Ying Zheng because he was in the Qin Kingdom's palace, which was heavily guarded. Now that Ying Zheng was out, it would be much easier to assassinate him. If Ying Zheng dies, everything will be over. Even if his empire does not collapse immediately, the impact of Ying Zheng's death will cause a huge commotion. There will be chaos within the empire. Wei Zhuang was very clear. Ying Zheng was the founder of the Qin Kingdom. If he died, some people who were not willing to accept Fu Su as the successor would take advantage of the situation. That's right. Gunia nodded in agreement. It was rare for the two of them to share the same opinion. When I was still in Xianyang, Ying Zheng's other sons, Hu Hai was the smartest and most favored by Ying Zheng. If Fu Su were to fall from power, Hu Hai would undoubtedly be the next successor. Furthermore, Hu Hai also had supporters such as Zhao Gao. It's not just Zhao Gao now. Tian Yin, the farmer's first female think tank, suddenly said, Zhao Gao and Li Si are very close. If I'm not wrong, the two of them might be in cahoots. That Zhao Gao and Li Si are not good people. Tian Hu, who was wearing a blindfold, snorted coldly. He looked past everyone and said coldly, although our common enemy is the Qin Kingdom, I have to emphasize that the title of hero of the School of Agriculture is mine. Dustless's head is also mine. Upon hearing his words, the rest of them frowned, and a displeased look flashed in their eyes. Their current mission was to eliminate Ying Zheng, and everything else was negotiable. But for the sake of a Dustless, if they were to forget about Ying Zheng's head, wouldn't that be a big loss for a small gain? However, Tian Hu's words didn't stop them. 4 of the 6 halls of the School of Agriculture had already defected to Tian Hu, so no one dared to refute him. Stupid. Tian Mi, who had an enchanting figure, remained calm on the surface, but she was sneering in her heart. Often, the more self-righteous and omnipotent a person is, the faster he dies. And after Tian Mi exhaled lightly, the corner of her eyes locked onto the people present. The determination in her heart suddenly wavered. These people don't see eye to eye. It's impossible to defeat the state of Qin. Even the Yin Yang family can't deal with them. Following them is equivalent to seeking death. As everyone knew, Tian Mi was a fence-sitter. She would side with whichever side the wind was stronger. Suddenly, she felt that if she were to stay in the same boat with these people, she would inevitably end up being wiped out. Tian Mi wanted to develop her Kuei Hall, not lead it to the end. At this moment, she couldn't help but have other thoughts. She felt that it was necessary to find another way to survive. A fine bird chooses a fine tree to nest in. If she knew that it was a dead end, she must be crazy to jump in without hesitation. About 10 to 10 hours later, in another direction. Sect Master. When Dustless was about to have sex with young Master Ming and Great Master Ming, Yueshin's cold voice suddenly came from outside the room. What bad luck! Dustless climbed out of the bed with a gloomy face. Young Master Ming and Great Master Ming pursed their lips and snickered. Everyone was very familiar with each other now, and they could even open their hearts to each other. You two just wait. I'll deal with you later. Dustless glanced at the smooth, naked body and put on his clothes unhappily. In the brightly lit hall. What's the matter, Yueshin? You better give me a reasonable explanation. Yueshin stared at Dustless's gloomy face and wondered, why is this guy so temperamental? What did I do to offend him? Yueshin, who couldn't figure it out, didn't dwell on it anymore. She then said slowly, "Tianmi, one of the 6 halls of the Farmer's Hall is here. She wishes to meet you now. What do you think?" "Farmer's Tianmi?" Wu Qin's brows knit together when he heard this. And a beautiful woman with a mature and enchanting bearing and an appearance that could be considered to be beautiful instantly appeared in his mind. Her eyes that could release electricity carried a charm that seduced one's soul, and the slightest carelessness would cause one to fall deeply into it. Rubbing his chin, Dustless analyzed himself. "I know a little about that Tianmi. She's a mature woman who can't decide what to do. I guess she came to me to join forces with the Yin school. Interesting. I didn't expect there to be a mole in the Farmer's Hall. Very good." Dustless, who was originally very unhappy, suddenly became interested. He looked at the moon deity and said, "Bring her over to see me." This time, Tianmi actually dared to rashly barge into the Yin school. She can forget about leaving in one piece. Dustless was implying that he wanted to pull Tianmi into his pirate ship. A mole with amazing intelligence could cause more damage than the enemy. Chapter 1960. There's no harm in meeting Tianmi. Anyway, Wu Qin wouldn't lose anything if he met Tianmi, and he also wanted to see what tricks this woman had up her sleeves. In addition, this meeting would have an extraordinary impact on Tianmi, and there would be no room for her to retreat in the future. Once this matter was exposed, it would definitely be a fatal blow to Tianmi's reputation. It would arouse the hostility of the other halls of the farmer party, and they might even gang up on her. Therefore, no matter what, Tianmi had no way out. She could only go down the dark path with Dustless. "Moon Goddess, go and call that woman over. I want to see where she gets the courage to come alone." About 10 minutes later, there was a sudden sound of slow footsteps in the brightly lit hall. Tap, tap, tap. As the footsteps got closer, Dustless, who was sitting on the main seat, slowly opened his eyes. His deep pupils stared at the beautiful figure behind Moon Goddess. His gaze was fixed on her body and didn't move. "Leader, you're staring at me like that. I'm a little embarrassed." Tianmi found that she was being stared at by Dustless. She blew out a smoke ring in a relaxed manner. She didn't realize that she was in the tiger's den. She spoke naturally. "Tianmi, I don't like to talk nonsense. Tell me your intention." Staring at this mature woman, Dustless felt that she wasn't simple. This indifferent and casual behavior was definitely not a pretense or forced calmness. The eyes were the window to the soul. Dustless didn't find any panic in Tianmi's eyes. He even caught a trace of ambition to control. "This is interesting. This woman's ambition is not small. She wants to control me and play me in the palm of her hand." Dustless's sleepiness disappeared. He said with a burning gaze, "Tianmi, you should know the consequences of meeting me, right?" "Of course I know. After today, I'm afraid I'll be seen as a traitor of the farmer party. I'll be despised." Tianmi sat down elegantly, completely ignoring Moon Goddess's existence. She said to herself, "However, in my opinion, knowing that there are tigers in the mountain, but going to the tiger's mountain is tantamount to suicide. Therefore, Tianmi has come to meet with Jiaozhu to seek a way out for the brothers of Kue Hall." "So you want to join the school of Yin Yang?" Dustless knocked on the armrest with his eyes closed. He wasn't interested in this at all. "Sorry, the school of Yin Yang doesn't like small fries." Ew. Hearing this, Tianmi's beautiful eyes flashed with anger, and the genuine qi in her body had already spread slightly. "Hall Master Tian, I hope you understand that this is the school of Yin Yang's mirage." The Moon Goddess glanced at Tianmi indifferently. Her words were filled with threat. "Oof." Tianmi snorted and withdrew her genuine qi. She said straightforwardly, "I'm here to cooperate with the Yin Yang school, not to join your school." "Cooperation? Huh?" Dustless opened his eyes and stared at Tianmi in surprise. Soon after, he could not help but chuckle. "You think it's funny?" Tianmi's face darkened slightly. Even though Dustless didn't directly mock her, she knew that he was mocking her ignorance. "Don't you think it's ridiculous? You actually want to cooperate with me. Have you figured out your identity?" "Tianmi, You're just the hall master of Kue Hall, not the hero of the school of Inyang. How can you represent the school of Inyang to cooperate with me? You don't deserve it. Dustless couldn't help but laugh. At first, he thought that this woman was quite scheming. However, after a simple conversation, he suddenly lost this feeling. What was cooperation? It was very simple and direct. Both parties could cooperate if they had common interests. Tianmi joined Dustless's camp. Although she could have foresight in terms of intelligence, it was also like inviting a wolf into the house for Dustless. There was nothing special about it. Phew! Hearing Dustless's mockery, Tianmi calmly blew out a smoke ring. Suddenly, she changed the topic and said, I heard that Jiaozhu and Duanmu Rong of the Mo family have a good relationship. They can be called bosom friends. I wonder how she's recently. This has nothing to do with you. I will find her sooner or later. Frowning, Dustless answered abruptly. He had already gone to the Shaoxing Manor. However, to his disappointment, Duanmu Rong had been taken away, leaving only a few corpses. It seems that Jiaozhu really cares about Miss Duanmu. Tianmi's eyes lit up. She chuckled and said, If Miss Duanmu is in my hands, will you still refuse to cooperate? Tianmi, are you threatening me? Dustless narrowed his eyes and looked at her expressionlessly. The flow of air suddenly stopped, and suffocating pressure filled the air. The atmosphere instantly reached an explosive peak. It seemed that a fight would break out if there was a disagreement. This is not a threat. It's just a bargaining chip for cooperation. Tianmi tried to remain calm. Being stared at by Dustless's indifferent eyes, she felt as if she had fallen into an ice cave. What will happen if I refuse? Will you order your men to kill Rome? Dustless asked calmly. He did not take any rash actions. He just stared at Tianmi with colder and colder eyes. The pressure on Tianmi also doubled. Of course not. Moreover, I also believe that the sect master is a woman who has tender feelings for the fair sex. He won't kill me. Tianmi put on a charming smile, and her charming laughter was extremely seductive. This woman has the ability to tease men. Moon Goddess looked at Tianmi gently. She even suspected that if it were not for her existence, this woman would immediately take some actions to seduce Dustless to agree to her conditions. Having tender feelings for the fairer sex doesn't mean that I won't kill women. Moreover, countless beautiful women have died in my hands. Dustless retorted in an unfriendly tone. After pondering for a while, he said, Cooperation is fine. At least bring Rome to see me. Otherwise, there's nothing to talk about. Of course. Jiaozhu, please wait for a moment. Tianmi will leave. Chapter 1961. Fate is really cruel and full of twists and turns. Staring at Tianmi's disappearing back, Dustless said with emotion, Why does Hierarch have such feelings? Sympathy for the weak? Yueshin was surprised, and she was curious about Dustless's idea. She always felt very strange. Dustless's apparent age was only 17 or 18 years old, but sometimes he gave people the illusion that he had lived for hundreds of years. Sympathy for the weak? That's right. I just think that this woman is a bit ridiculous. She wants to play with me. If she knows my true origin, she will understand the meaning of my words. Dustless finally closed his eyes. Anyway, he came from another world, and he was familiar with the development of the future. If he was controlled by Tianmi, wouldn't it be too ridiculous? What's more, even if she threatened Dustless with Duanmu Rong's safety, it was useless. The outer path reincarnation technique of Rinnegan was not a joke. About half an hour later, Tianmi came. This time, she was not alone. She came with a beautiful figure that Dustless had been thinking about day and night, Duanmu Rong. Sorry, I have caused you so much trouble. Duanmu Rong stood in front of Dustless with shame, and her watery eyes were dim. Don't worry about it. Isn't everything okay now? Above the mirage is my territory. Dustless smiled and patted Duanmu Rong's shoulder, indicating that she didn't need to think too much. A person's long life was always a little bumpy, and she just needed to get over it. Yueshin, Dustless suddenly looked at Yueshun, and he motioned her to take Duanmu Rong to rest. Miss Duanmu, this way please. Yueshun understood Dustless's meaning, and then took Duanmu Rong to the wing room. In a large hall, only two people were left, Dustless and Tianmi. Hierarch is really affectionate. Sister Duanmu is really lucky. Tianmi chuckled, and her every move was full of charm. Although Tianmi was somewhat beautiful, Dustless didn't know why he couldn't look at her. Instead, he felt that being in the same space with her made his breathing a little stuffy. I will inform Fu Su of your request. After looking at Tianmi for a while, Dustless continued, however, you have to give me Zhang Liang's head. Otherwise, I still can't trust you. Zhang Liang. Hearing this, Tianmi frowned. In terms of strength, Zhang Liang might not be as good as Wei Zhuang or Gania, but he was extremely intelligent. Sect Master, with all due respect, Zhang Liang, this is a necessary condition. You can reject it, but the cooperation will be voided. Without giving Tianmi a chance to talk nonsense, Dustless said coldly, Tianmi, someone should have told you that there's no free lunch in the world. You're still too inexperienced if you want to get something from me without sewing. Hearing this, Tianmi's expression froze. After taking a deep look at Dustless, she gritted her teeth and said, in that case, Tianmi will accept your mission. I hope that your sect will keep its promise. After Zhang Liang's head is brought here, I will naturally tell Fu Su that it's your contribution. After the destruction of the School of Agriculture, the new hero chief will also be called Tianmi, Dustless replied calmly. In reality, he wasn't at a disadvantage. Although he agreed to help Tianmi become the new hero chief of the School of Agriculture, he didn't know if she could control others. Farewell. Joy appeared on Tianmi's face as she walked away gracefully. Her long, snow-white legs could be seen from time to time. Right, Tianmi still has something I don't understand. Suddenly recalling something, Tianmi turned her head to look at Wu Chun. Speak. This time, Dustless didn't beat around the bush. If it wasn't something sensitive, there was no harm in telling Tianmi. Is it true that Ing Zheng will come to Shanghai 3 days later? Although Daoji described that he heard it from Dustless, Tianmi found that Dustless wasn't the kind of person who liked to talk nonsense, especially about such secrets. Hearing this, Dustless's mouth suddenly curved into a strange arc. He replied, of course it's true. You have also discovered the Golden Fire Cavalry in Shanghai City. This is just to pave the way for Ing Zheng's arrival. Of course, I deliberately leaked the news that Ing Zheng is coming to Shanghai. Dustless laughed in his heart. It was true that Ing Zheng was coming to Shanghai to worship heaven and watch the mirage. The only difference was that Dustless deliberately leaked the news of Ing Zheng's arrival. In this way, the rebels would inevitably be attracted, and Dustless could take the opportunity to wipe them out. Time flew, and 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. In these 3 days, the security in Mulberry Sea City became more and more tense. Especially on the last day, almost every household had 2 soldiers of the Qin state in charge of guarding. Both sides of the street were almost full of soldiers of the Qin army. Even children now understood that a big shot was coming to Shanghai. When Li Si and Fu Su came to Shanghai, they didn't have such a big lineup. In fact, it was obvious who was coming to Shanghai this time. Ing Zheng, the king of Qin. Where did those people from the Mo family go? Dustless didn't join the team to protect the king of Qin. He only sent Yueshun and concubine Yan. As for Great Si Ming and Young Si Ming, they followed him quietly. Most likely, they are hiding in an inn like us. Dustless, Great Si Ming, and Young Si Ming were hiding in Pao Ding's vacant inn. Because it had 2 floors, they could overlook the changes in the surroundings. If they want to take action, they should do it now. Otherwise, they won't have a chance. I heard that Ing Zheng is going to live in Sea Moon Villa. It's heavily guarded, and the people of the Mo family can't get close at all. It's most likely that they are on the street. Young Si Ming added. After following Dustless, she became more talkative. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.